Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto was left to die by devil part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. In an empty apartment lived a young blonde boy who was just waking up for his day of school. His hair long and spiky while also having blue eyes with slits staring out into the world. He looked at his mirror and saw his whisker marks on his face that were apparently a birthmark from his mother's side of the family. At least that is what many people tell him, but he was never sure due to not knowing her. On top of that, he was unsure of who his father was since the rumor around the orphanage was that his father was someone that was only known to his mother. But that didn't matter at this moment, he had to get to school. You see, Naruto was born in Europe, but after so long he was taken away after his mother's passing to Japan, where he grew up in an orphanage. From there, he met someone that became his childhood friend and promised to meet them again soon. Their head of the orphanage took them away to train with other members of the church while he was left behind. But sadly, all things came to an end not too long after this, and he ran into his first encounter of the supernatural variety. It was some kind of demon that attacked the orphanage and killed everyone there other than himself. However, the lovely woman that ran the orphanage at this time disappeared, and he was unsure of her fate. In time, people who claimed to work in Japan's government located him, and they brought him to Ko for his own safety. In time, he grew up a standard teen, but he started seeing the world differently than everyone else, and wondered what was going to happen to him soon. In his uniform, Naruto remembered when he first arrived at Ko he was treated neutrally by the students and the teachers due to him being a new student. But over time he saw how everyone was always looking and staring at this one group of people and talking about how great they were. One was a red-haired girl with green/blue eyes and had a large set of. Another was a black-haired girl with an orange ribbon with larger than even her. A white-haired girl eating sweets with hazel eyes, and a pretty boy who many considered was gay. After basically seeing people watching them with bitty eyes and talking about them like some kind of idols, he broke the mold and basically went up to speak to them. The boy was receptive of the attention, and they both became quick friends. Yes, Kiba is not bashed. They talked about growing up in Europe, how they came to live in Ko while also talking about their individual pasts. Naruto told him everything but the paranormal part that he saw, and he said to him basically he lost his friends to a crazy priest. He felt pity for him and promised that he would stand with him, and if they ever find the one responsible, he would help him take him down. Kiba was shocked by this and finally smiled a real smile and thanked him while asking if he wanted to be best friends. While it looked gay on the surface, it was really just him finally having someone that he felt would share his burden with him and free him from his pain. Unfortunately, the rest of the club was not as receptive to him. He remembered specifically what happened with him and Rias when she confronted him after he started hanging out with Kiba. Flashback. Naruto, we need to talk. Sure, what do you need, Rias? She narrowed her eyes at him and sighed. Look, I need you to stop coming on to us. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. I'm not sure I understand what you are getting at. She growled at him. I see the way you look at us. My friends and I are not happy with someone trying to creep up on us all the time. The way your eyes linger on us, it shows perverted thoughts. Naruto continued staring at her like she grew a second head. Really, that is what she is talking about. Honestly, he would admit she is pretty, but honestly, she was not his type along with her two friends. The only reason he stared at them was that either they were in that general direction, or he was trying to see what Kiba saw in them. Respectable, who was all about caring for others and treating them like family. He didn't see it now with Rias basically chewing his head off about being his friend and trying to use Kiba to get close to them. I'm warning you, back away from my friends or there is going to be hell to pay. Whoa, chill out. I'm sorry you felt that is the way I was looking at you, but that is not it. I'm just told by Kiba about a few things dash. Oh, so he was telling you some things, and you gained a fantasy about us with you as some kind of personal harem? Now where the hell is this coming from? Honestly, I think this is your ego talking. What did you say? You heard me, this is your ego. I don't see you like that, and if I did, I would respect your wishes. So is that everything? I'm supposed to meet Kiba up for lunch? She growled at him. You'll pay for this, count on it, you shit. Naruto rolled his eyes. Yeah, later, Gremory. He walked away from her, not seeing the seething look in her eyes and the aura that was forming around her body. Flashback ends. Not too long after that debacle, rumors started to spread. It was said he had used Kiba to sleep with the members of the ORC club and now was leaving them high and dry. Naturally, he knew it wasn't, but most of the student body worshipped the group and saw him as a piece of shit. Within a week he became the most hated person on campus, to the point that even the teachers were starting to write down horrible grades for him just so he could flunk out of the school. He was getting angry about the whole situation, and it seemed the only one that believed him was the one person he thought would turn on him first, Kiba. He was shocked his king started that rumor and wanted to tell people otherwise, but due to his loyalty to Rias he couldn't, and at this point, he was forced to keep his mouth shut. He still hung out with Naruto, just not as often as they used to. But when one door closes another opens. That is why when he walked onto campus he saw a black-haired girl with glasses waiting for him. She had pink frames for her glasses and had a bob-style haircut. Her purple eyes were reading a book that was in her hand, and she had a very killer figure in her own right. While she didn't have large like Rias and Aquino, she did have a good C-cup that seemed more realistic for girls their age. This was the student president Sona Shirt Torai, and someone that he was a close friend with. Especially after one incident in particular. Flashback. Sona was walking down the hallway when she saw the new student Naruto, she thinks his name was. He was standing there looking down at a paper with frustration in his eyes. Is there a problem, Uzumaki-san? He turned around and asked. Who are you? She smiled slightly. Sorry, where are my manners? I'm Sona Shirt Torai, student council president. Now I asked what seems to be the problem. Naruto's eyes dulled before turning back to his paper. She looked over his shoulder and saw that it was a test that she took in the same class for science. What was odd about it, the test said F, but all the answers she could see were correct. Hell, some of the answers more detailed than her own, and she wondered how the teacher could fail him. Uzumaki-san, how did you fail this test? He looked at the black-haired girl and sighed with frustration. Oh, the teacher is one of the assholes in this school that follows the idea that I'm a perverted piece of shit, and decided that he would discreetly change my grade to a failing grade. He growled at this and Sona narrowed her eyes, so that is what this was about. She knew Rias, and her little group had rabid followers, but this was ridiculous for how they were going about doing this to appease her. Taking the test out of his hands, she stormed into the classroom. Hello, Lady Shirt Torai, how can I help you? Sona slammed the test on his desk with fury in her eyes. She stood down for a lot of things, but sabotaging a student for some idol would be one thing she fights. This shocked Naruto. No had stood by him since Kiba, and even then he seemed to be restricted in what he could do and say due to Rias and her group. You can explain this to me. If I do not like your answer, then I will take this to the school board. She pointed at the test while discreetly summoning her own and showing similar answers. Now, as I have reviewed Naruto's work on this test and my own, I can say for certain he got an A. Hell, some of his answers are more detailed than my own, so tell me, why did you fail him? She glared at him, and he started sweating like crazy. He and some other teachers were discreetly failing the boy in hopes when the time comes he would be expelled or suspended, thus appeasing the ORC. This would give them more prestige and may be assigned as their schoolteacher representative. Sadly, one teacher was not on board with this, and that was that red-hair bitch that seemed to make it her mission to make sure he did well in her class. This frustrated him, but right now he was in deep shit at this point. Sona's family was on the school board, and if they find out about this, they would investigate everything up to this point and fire him on the spot. I'm sorry, it was a typo, I will fix it now. She kept narrow eyes on him. That's not good enough. I'm starting to question if you can teach in this school at all. What do you mean? I've had students passing this class with nothing more than high marks since I started last year. Yes, but at the same time, you seemed adamant about tearing down Uzumaki-san here. I wonder why that is. What could have influenced you to do this? Not that it matters at this point, I have enough evidence just from this to call your ability to teach into question, and thus have you fired from this school. Our school must maintain a certain status, and you are not up to par. She took both papers and started walking out of the classroom, but what she did not see is the man getting a furious look on his face. He quickly got out from his desk and grabbed her by the back of her shirt. You little shit, you will not disrespect me. He was about to pull on her and bring her about to tell her how things are going to go from now on to save his job. But he forgot about Naruto, who quickly reacted at this, and not only broke his hand on her, he even held onto his wrist. That is not very nice, teach. Get your hands off me, you delinquent. I'll have you arrested for assaulting a teacher, you hear me? Hardly. Sona tugged on her outfit. With this, you are going to be arrested for harassment and assault of a minor, while Naruto is going to be noted for coming to my aid. He growled again, taking a swing at Naruto, who used his other hand and blocked the punch. Then he increased the pressure on the man's wrist, causing it to crunch under the pressure he was releasing. Sona was surprised. You know I can stand for a lot of things. Name-calling, being spit on, hell, even the other students trying to gang up on me with kendo sticks. But you daring to hit a beautiful girl, that is where I draw the line. Sona was amazed. His charisma, and the fact she was called beautiful, was putting blush on her face. She tried to take it off, but it was difficult due to how intense his passion was and the feelings she was getting. A shining knight saving the princess. Oh, what a cliche, but maybe there is a reason they exist. Naruto quickly released the broken wrist before using his now free hand to slam his fist into his face, knocking him back and knocking him out. Naruto snorted at him and said, "Consider that you're walking papers, asshole." Turning to Sona, he quickly looked her over. "You alright?" She smiled at his kindness. "Yes, thank you very much, Uzumaki-san." Naruto smiled at her. "I think the fact I knocked out a guy to protect you could at least warrant you calling me by my first name, no?" She smiled and laughed lightly. Maybe he is different from the other male rabble. She can't wait to see if he would make her standards for a peerage. "Alright then, Naruto-san." "Still san, huh?" "Yes, you still have to earn the other one." He smiled. "Can't wait to earn it." They shared a light laugh before walking out of the room and talking for what seemed like hours. In that moment, Naruto felt his heart flutter and thought maybe she was different from Rias and her group. He might have just found his first crush. Flashback ends. Naruto waved at the president, and she returned it. "How are you doing, Sona?" "I'm fine, Naruto-san." He sighed at this, and she laughed under her breath. Naruto liked seeing her smile. He thought it was one of the prettiest things he has seen in his life, and it always made his heart flutter at how pretty she looked with it. "So here to make sure I arrive to class on time?" "No, I just want to walk with you a bit is all." "Sure." They proceeded across campus, but everyone was looking at them with suspicion and concern considering the rumors about him. They also heard that some of the teaching staff was being fired and replaced after finding out about his corrupted grades. New teachers were coming and showing they were not influenced by the likes of the so-called great ladies of the academy, and keeping a strict lesson plan. "So how has today been for you so far?" Sona smiled. "Interesting so far. We set the record for the fastest time we had to catch the perverted trio today. But for some reason, I heard that one of them had an interesting development." "Oh?" "Yes, the middle one. Issei. I heard he has a girlfriend that he is showing around campus lately." Naruto raised an eyebrow. Issei Haidu, from what he was able to gather about the boy, he was nothing special. Very perverted, but among his friends he probably was the one that had some redeemable qualities, with him being more friendly than the other two. When the trio got in trouble, or he did, Issei took the fall for him a few times while his friends tried to shift blame onto him. So he had a little respect for him on this point. "A girlfriend? Weird, I didn't expect him to have some kind of girlfriend yet. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is possible, but it is hard to see one coming out of nowhere to be one." Sona nods her head. "Yes, I noticed that she seemed to come from nowhere, so I have no idea who she is and wonder what her plans are for him." "Yeah, oh hey Tsubaki." Out in the middle of the hall stood a long black-haired girl with two mismatching eyes, blue glasses, and a more buxom figure than her friend. Tsubaki was the vice president of the student council, and from what he gathered she was about the same cup size as Rias, which he only learned from Issei mentioning it once with his friends. Hell, he could see that she was one of the hidden beauties of the school and honestly felt people who compared her to the great ladies were unfair. While they are amazing to look at, there was something about Tsubaki that screamed a hidden beauty. He always believed while she had a bit of a cold side to her, he knew that there was a warm personality somewhere inside of her that she only showed on rare occasion. "I thought we talked about this, Naruto." "Oh sorry, Tsubaki-chan." She gave him a light glare. "I meant calling me Tsubaki-san." "Well, we could say that, but at the same time, unless you want everyone to know about your secret collection." She blushed. "You wouldn't." "Hey Sona, do you know about it?" Sona raised an eyebrow at this comment and played along. "No, what are you talking about?" Tsubaki was turning a bright red and glaring at the president. "Well, I saw that Tsubaki has a special collection of humph." Tsubaki put her hands on his mouth with her face completely red from the embarrassment she was feeling. "You tell anyone about that, I will beat you to death." He smiled while her president said, "Oh, and what is this collection you have, Tsubaki? Are you hiding something from me?" "No, I'm not, and even if I was, it is nothing to be ashamed about." She huffed while putting her arms underneath her, making them more pronounced. Some of the boys ran into the wall to see how big they were, and seeing the student council president laughing was rare. "I'm only messing with you, Tsubaki. I already know about it, considering most of the purchases are on our family's account, you know." Tsubaki blushed, wondering if the peerage knew about her collection. The truth is she had two different collections, and one is more embarrassing than the other. She had secretly collected stuff in the background, while the other she did openly, that way the others wouldn't dig too deep into her other purchases. "Anyway, what do you need, Tsubaki?" The woman sighed and gained her serious look again. Well, you heard the rumors about the girl that is dating one of the perverted trio, yes? Indeed, Naruto-san and I were just talking about it. Yeah, personally I'm happy for the little pervert, but I'm more concerned that it is a setup for a really horrible prank. Tsubaki nods her head at Naruto's thought, but they knew the truth of the matter. After all, this came more with their territory than his, so it was easy to understand he was not seeing the mortal danger his friend was in. Yes, but from what I gathered they have a date tomorrow. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this since tomorrow is their day off, so this would be something someone could plan in the long run. Basically, take him out on a romantic date and then out of nowhere be humiliated on the spot badly, and this leaves him in tears and worse. While he did not see him as a friend, that would be too cruel even for someone like him, so Naruto made up his mind to monitor the date to make sure things did not go off severely. Well, Sona, I'm heading to class. She smiled, and then it dawned on her about something. Naruto, take this. He held his hand out for some kind of weird-looking flyer. What is it? She smiled. It's something that someone told me about. It is a flyer that if you wish for anything on it, then it can come true. How weird, but okay. He tucked it into his pants pockets, and walked away waving his hand at her. Both women waved back while Sona frowned. You sure the fallen angel is going to make her move tomorrow? Yes, and Rias seems to have something in plan for it. She sighed. Why she is doing this instead of just recruiting him is beyond me. Rias is desperate to get out of her arranged marriage with Riser. That and her position is threatened as the heiress of the Gremry family. Wait, you mean Dash? Yes, apparently rumors are starting to spread, and they believe the two will clash soon for the title and prestige of the clan. This is going to be a tense year, isn't it, my king? Yes, well, hopefully, Naruto stays safe. Tsubaki nodded her head. Indeed, but my king, might I ask why you don't just ask him to join? Because while I want him as a member of my peerage, I don't want him dragged into our crazy world just yet. That, and with Rias on the warpath against him with the other girls, things would only get more complicated as time goes on. I see. Well, hopefully tomorrow does not cause any real problems for anyone. Here's to both of us wishing for the best. Sona could only hope Naruto did not do something stupid. Next day. Naruto was watching the date from afar. He saw Issei was dressed nicely and was really making an effort on this date. It looked like he saved every cent he had for this date, and that earned him some respect. He really hoped this was not some cruel twist of fate against him, because that would be the thing he can't stand. That, and he would crush that asshole who did it to him in the first place. They had reached the water fountain, and he heard the girl Yuma asked for something, and I guess he was expecting a kiss or something perverted. Would you die for me? Naruto blinked a few times, wondering if he heard that right. Was she a serial killer? But he was proven wrong when she turned into a busted woman with black wings and wearing some kind of leather bondage. Issei seemed too overwhelmed with the situation, and before he could react, he was impaled with a spear through his stomach. Sorry, kid, you were too much of a threat. If you want to blame anyone, then blame the person who gave you that sacred gear of yours. She then took off into the sky, but then saw Naruto standing nearby the site. Without waiting for his reaction, she threw a spear at him, and he collapsed away from the tree and smiled. Poor thing, you would have lived longer if you hadn't bothered to show up. Oh well, no skin off my ass, see you in the afterlife, fool. She flew into the sky, laughing the whole way. Naruto felt the spear in his stomach. It was, but he could still stand and move. So he tried to stand up with some pain in his body, never noticing the red light that was going on behind him. Have to and get help. He tried limping away from them, but before he could get far he heard a voice. So you survived that? Well, no matter. He recognized the voice, but then felt a powerful blast hit him in the back. His entire body erupted into pain and was sent crashing to the ground with more blood coming off his body, and he slowly turned around to see Rias with her arm extended. WWY. She snorted. You have been a thorn in my side too long. Not only did you turn my knight against me, but you took my best friend from me. Naruto smiled at her, causing her to become more irked with him. Sounds more like your problem than mine. She summoned another ball of blue energy and slammed it into him, causing him to cough up more blood. You sure have a mouth on you for someone that is dying. Naruto spits on her clothes, causing her to snarl. She quickly kicked him in his wound, causing him to grunt in pain. His vision was fading. Well, with this, all I have to say is the fallen angel did it, and then you will be nothing more than a memory to everyone around me. Things will return to normal. Goodbye, human. She turned to Issei, and he saw her put something on his chest. In the blur, he saw they flew into his body, and she teleported away in some kind of red energy. FFF fuck. I can't die like this. Damn it. He tried to get up, but the pain was too much, and he could feel his body slowly stopping. He cried. For the first time since his friend left, he cried. I wish I could see you again, Sona. I'm sorry for not telling you how I feel, and I'm sorry, Tsubaki. I'm sorry I never was a better friend. Kiba, I'm sorry I can't keep my promise of helping you find the bastard that hurt you. If I could have one more thing, please let me see Sona one more time. The flyer in his pocket glowed, and Sona appeared out of the symbol. She looked down and saw Naruto in a critical state. Naruto. Looking up, he saw the blur outline of his friend and smiled. Hey Sona, lovely night, no? Shut up, you idiot, let me heal you. DD, don't bother. After that weird chick hit me with a spear and Rias hitting me with something on my back and then kicking me, I can't focus. What, Rias did this? That bitch. Sona was going to have some choice words with her. Whatever friendship they might have had is done. She would never associate with her again. Reaching through her skirt, she was looking for anything to help him. She had 3 pawn pieces, but they were not reacting to him. She sighed. She had to save him. He had to live. She can't let him go. There had to something she could do. That is when she noticed something odd in her set. The bizarre piece her sister gave her. It was reacting, meaning she could use it to save him. The piece looked like a king piece, only that it had 2 swords going behind it, and had a crown piece surrounding the body of the piece. Her sister gave it to her after defeating her fiancé in a chess match and earning her freedom from his demanding grasp. Sotan, I can't explain it, but I feel you might need this piece. It will react to the person it is meant for, and when it does, use it because they might be someone that means a lot in the future. She winked at her sister with her signature, causing Sona to sigh at her. Sona quickly put the piece at the opening in his stomach, and before long the light from the chess piece swirled around him, and she saw the chess piece enter his body. At this same time, Naruto started to glow dark green, showing powerful energy that seemed to already be there in his body, which should not be possible for him. How can he already have demonic energy? He was a human, right? Plus the amount he has is off the scales. I dare say my sister is on par with him just on pure reserves and the heavy feeling of this aura. Naruto's body started healing from the light spear damage, but still saw the hole was from the spear was still there for the most part. Summoning Tsubaki, she looked at her and saw the fear in her eyes as she watched Naruto lying on the ground in pain. What happened? I will explain later. Take him back to his house and use the skin method to heal him. Right, President. She quickly picked him up on her shoulder but heard him whispering. Such a nice smell, so pretty. Tsubaki blushed and teleported away while Sona grunted in annoyance. At least she was summoned first, meaning he had strong feelings for her at least. Looking around, she couldn't feel anything wrong with anything else but could see the blood from both Issei and Naruto was there along with the residual magic Rias used on him. She knew that she was using a small energy-based magic spell that hit him and can injure him, but not disintegrate him like the power of destruction could. Leaving it behind, she teleported back to her room and quickly pulled out 2 crystals. One with the mark of Lucifer on it, and the other with Leviathan. Activating both crystals brought 3 people into the room. One was a red-haired man that looked a lot like Rias and was wearing a black and red suit, while a maid stood behind him with her silver hair and eyes. Next to them was her sister, who was wearing her magical girl outfit and looking at her with joy. Lord Lucifer, Lady Lucifuge, sister, I need to speak to all of you for a great problem has emerged today. Surzek smiled and motioned her to take a seat. Today I was summoned by a boy that needed my help. He was attacked by one of the fallen angels in the area. Wait, there were fallen angels here? I was unaware of this. Surzek was shocked, so was Seraphal and Graphia. They had not heard anything about this. I was sure Rias told you about this. Surzek picked up the snap to Rias's name and decided to fold it into the back of his head. No, I was unaware. This is disturbing. What happened to the boys? I'm not sure, Lord Surzek, but I know that the boy was attacked by one of them after killing another boy. At this same time, Rias had shown up while the boy I'm talking about was trying to run away and get help. He survived a light spear? Yes, it was through his stomach, sister. She smiled. That was one strong-willed boy, or he was just too stubborn to die that simply. But it gets worse. What happened? She looked at Surzek and said, What I'm about to tell you might be crazy, but I assure you there is evidence that she did do this to this boy. He raised an eyebrow and motioned for her to continue. The fact his sister did not tell him about the fallen angels was disturbing, making him wonder why she didn't. Rias saw he was trying to escape, and considering the boy is a friend of her night, and me, and we've been at odds with each other, she didn't help him. No, she shot an energy blast at his back, knocking him down and injuring him more. Surzek narrowed his eyes and flared a small amount of his aura. That is a serious accusation you are throwing out, Sona. Serafal narrowed her eyes at Surzek. Oh, and the rumors I've gotten from some of my peerage about how she has been abusing this boy is too far-fetched? He shook his head. No, but you are saying she injured him more than before, and on top of that even attempted to leave him for dead on the ground is hard to swallow. Sona stared definitely against the great Mao. I assure you, if someone were to go and check the area you would find the same thing, and he confirmed it was her that did this to him. Surzek stared at her for a second before motioning his wife to go and check it out. She left, leaving the three of them in the room. What's more, I managed to get to him while he was still alive and able to make a couple of small jokes. Tough and willing to laugh at death, huh? Sounds like an interesting boy, no? Yes, but none of my normal pieces worked. But then something amazing happened. The piece that you gave me, sister, reacted to him. Serafal and Surzek jumped to their feet. Are you absolutely certain that piece worked on him? Sister, this is serious. Yes, I put it on him, and he was revived but not fully healed. That is why I sent my queen to take care of him. The two Maos starting smiling to each other, but before Sona could ask what was going on, Grafia appeared again with a grim look on her face. Sona-sama was telling the truth. Surzek, Rias did use the spell, and it is obvious by the blood splatter she did to that boy. Surzek sighed and glared to his queen. You tell Rias that tomorrow I want to meet her face to face, and if she is late, there are consequences for this. At the same time, contact my aunt. Let her know that I'm allowing her to move in and take over, since Rias has shown she thinks little of the rules in place for all of us by the yokai. I will, my king. She turned to Sona and said, Congratulations, Sona-sama, you have returned one of the great devil clans of this world. Whom are you guys talking about? They smiled. Don't worry, all will be explained in due time. Yes, Soten, don't worry, you'll understand soon. You did the underworld a great favor. Hell, this might help with your dream of that raiding school you always wanted. Indeed, Sona-sama, but for now we need to talk to him when there is a chance. I will tell him tomorrow to come in through my queen, I guess. Surzek smiled. Good, this way we can deal with everything first thing in the morning. Until then, we shall see you later. So with their peace, said the two Maos, and maid disappeared in a flash of light, leaving Sona in her room wondering what the hell just happened. At least tomorrow she will get help running the territory, and someone that treats her like an equal instead of a subordinate. At this same time, she knew that Naruto becoming someone of her peerage, then that means she needs to get him up to par for the fallen angels that might come. So pulling out her cell phone, she dialed the number and waited for the ringing to stop. Hello, you there? Well, listen, I have an assignment for you tomorrow. I have a new peerage member, and I need to see where he stands among the rest. So I want you to fight him tomorrow. Yes, I shall prepare the sweets that you ask for. Thank you, goodbye. Hanging up the phone, she sighed and proceeded to her room in the back office. Tomorrow is going to be hellish, I know it is. In the underworld, Surzek had called his two other Maos for their announcement. He and Serafal wanted word to get out quickly that the return of the clan has come, and that they needed to do everything they could to make sure they are protected and ready to go when the time comes. At first the two wanted to know what this was about, but in the end they agreed to just come and hear the information for themselves. They both must think that Surzek wants to talk about his sister again, and if so they would tune him out and then leave when they could, but otherwise they would attend. Surzek sat in the middle of a table of four with his queen and wife standing behind him, Serafal sitting to his right and his best friend in front of him, while the last one was napping to his right. The man in front of him was handsome, green hair, and was wearing a serious look. He is wearing a black, gold, and green robe that showed nobility and wearing the mark of the Beelzebub family. This was Ajuka. Many consider him the smartest devil to ever live due to his creation of the peerage system, master of the rare formula magic, and the second strongest among the Satans. While he knew Serafal and Falbium could give him a run for his money, he was still smart enough to know how to break them down when the time comes for it. More importantly, he was the best friend to Surzek's Lucifer, who he had grown up with since they were in diapers, essentially, if what his mother said was true. Ajuka was always the serious one of the group and never took much to Surzek's joking manner, but he knew that underneath it was someone with great power and control. Next to him was a man sleeping on the desk with his head covered in a pillow that he brought with him. His bald head shined for the room to see while his goatee was buried in the pillow. He was wearing a spiky shoulder armor and dark robe. This was the last of the Satans, Falbium Asmodeus, and he was known as the laziest of his fellow Satans. He refused to work and is known as the one Satan that could be replaced if not for his tremendous power and talent. Most people would assume that would not be the case, but for him his power was greater than anything they could imagine, not as great as his fellow Satans, but he still was a cut above the rest. Ajuka finally asked the question he had since the meeting was called. Why are we here, Surzek? Did something happen with your sister again? He was shocked to see an angry look on his face. Yes, something did happen, but rest assured I will be taking care of it tomorrow. No, me and Seraphol have tremendous news for everyone in this room, something that is going to shake the very foundation of the underworld to its core. Satan Red said with a Chisai grin. Well, what is it? The lazy Satan had sat up just to hear what he was trying to get at. First Ajuka check and see if the special piece and see how many are out there still. He raised an eyebrow. Why? Just do it, please. Ajuka sighed and quickly pulled out his special device he made for tracking this specific piece. It looked like a phone due to the need for convenience when he wanted to know if something happened. My device says that all the pieces are inactive. He looked at his tracker for a few more seconds, and then his eyes popped out of his head. What the hell, they are all inactive? What does that mean? He looked at his friend who had a smile on his face along with Seraphol. Yes, the clan has been revived. The soul heir has been found. By the underworld this means. Yes, Falbium, the Sparta clan has returned at last. The group cheered and even Graphia brought out some sake for them to enjoy the occasion. Now the question is, why is the Sparta clan so important that this was such an occasion of celebration? The truth is that the Sparta clan was hailed as the strongest clan in the entire underworld. Not only did the original Sparta seal away the great demon known as Trixaha, and even defeated the demon of demons, Mundus. Shortly afterwards he united the new Satan faction against the old one, and led a large campaign with the Satans now being his generals. In time they managed to overthrow the old order, and in time replaced it with a new one. The most shocking thing was that at this time he was married to an angel he had met during his time in the Great War. She was known as the next Queen of Heaven, Eve, and many consider her the prize of the universe with how beautiful she was. Let's just say that even Gabriel paled in comparison to her. Sadly, in time after the Civil War, Sparta had lost his daughter and his wife passed on not too long afterwards. Ultimately he perished due to a lingering disease in his body, but told that his daughter may return to the underworld if the time is right and her blood awoken inside of her. Then 10 years later a 10-year-old came to the underworld wielding the power of the Sparta family, and earned her place as the princess of the underworld. Kushina Sparta is what she was called, and many consider her the prize of prizes. To marry such a strong and beautiful woman was considered an honor, but sadly, it was never meant to be. She had no interest in marrying anyone in the underworld and mostly kept to herself. She showed power greater than her father at the age of 16, but at this time she also was being targeted by rogue factions. So she had formed her own peerage of powerful warriors from different sides and backgrounds and became the first true queen of the ratings game. She never lost a match, but even then times came to call when she died under unknown circumstances. It was believed she had a child since many had seen her carrying one a while back, but the question lingered who was the father, for no one, not even her peerage and surrogate children, knew, and she took that secret with her to the grave. With her death her child went missing, but she had left instructions for the Satans to make a special piece infused with her Sparta blood. That way whenever someone runs across them it will activate, thus allowing him to ascend to the height of the Sparta family once more. Now in this very room they were drinking and having a merry time due to the return of the clan and the chance to finally put things back in order. So do we know the name of the child? Yes, from what I can gather his name is Naruto, but apparently he is unaware of his heritage or that he was a devil at all. I see, and you plan to talk to him about it then? Yep, from there we should be able to finally put him on the throne in time. Alright then, to the future of the underworld with Sparta family at the helm. Soon everyone joined Ajuka in his toast, and they kept drinking until it was time for them to depart. Naruto. He felt something covering his head. He was not sure, but he felt it might be his pillow. After all, they were as soft as his pillow, but he felt something rubbing against his lip. So sticking his tongue out he gave a hesitant lick but found a moan to be a response. Wait, pillows don't moan. Opening his eye completely he saw that it was a bear in his face, and he just licked the tit. He freaked out more when he saw it was attached to Tsubaki, and this made him hit the wall with a mad dash. What the hell, what are you doing in my home? Tsubaki rubbed the sleep out of her eyes while reaching for her glasses and looked at panicking Naruto. How morning, Naruto-kun. Huh? Kun, since when? She smiled seductively. Since you decided to lick my tits. He blushed at this comment. I guess it is my fault I put them there in the first place though, don't worry about it too much. At the same time, I'm eager to see what else you were going to do. I'm telling you I was not looking, so I just stuck it out to see. That is still pretty weird to do. Naruto opened his mouth and closed it. She was right. Anyway, how the hell are you in my house? Also, how the hell did I get back here? Last I checked I died last night. Well, to answer the first part, we teleported her thanks to us knowing where you lived in the first place. Second, that part will be explained by President. President? You mean Sona? I knew she was there, but she has a hand in all of this mess too? She will explain this better than I can. Why were you naked though? Healing is easier through skin-on-skin contact. While I could have healed you normally, this was easier and less draining on both of us. At the same time, I found myself tired anyway, and you sure are a snuggler. Naruto blushed bright red and quickly grabbed his uniform from his closet and walked into the bathroom. My such a shy one when you get to know the real him. Also, not bad for his own size if I have to say. She blushed at the thought of his cock and thinking about how he looked when fully erect. She brushed the thoughts off and quickly got dressed before heading down the stairs to get some breakfast and lunches ready for the both of them. Naruto, after showering and getting dressed, he managed to make it downstairs. He found Tsubaki sitting there waiting for him with a pretty traditional breakfast of an omelette and some fruits. Without waiting, he ate the food, and in time they both were on their way down the street to the school. Upon arriving on campus, he could already hear the voices talking. Hey, it's him. Yeah, but why is he with the vice president? I know, right? She could do so much better than a scumbag like him. Seriously, what is her reason being around someone that is a player? Don't know, but we should teach him a lesson later on today. Naruto sighed. Rumors are already flying. Don't worry about them. Tsubaki took his hand in hers and started walking faster with him while leaving the students gapping at the sight. Naruto, knowing this, was only adding fuel to the fire. Inside the school building, however, Sona was sitting behind her desk while Surzex was sitting in one of the visitor seats. Next to him was a red-haired girl with a cup, green eyes, and a curvy figure. One that made Sona check herself and feel jealous for not filling out as much as she did. What the hell is in the water at the Gremory family house? This was Rebecca Gremory, cousin of Surzex and Rias and the daughter of the Gremory family head's sister. While her mother was the older of the two, she did not have an interest in politics, and gave it to her younger brother, and soon married into the family. So Rebecca did not have the power of destruction, but she sure did make her own standings as one of the top 2 rookie devils running around this day and age. They were waiting for Grafia to come in with Rias, but she seemed to be taking her time or having a difficult time making Rias show up. If he had to guess, it was the former, given that Rias had a tendency to worm her way into taking as much time as possible before having to actually do something. She got good at it when the time for meeting Riser came up, and she did everything she could to spend as little time as possible with the bastard, and he could not blame her. But her actions right now have put her in a dangerous situation, and it is causing him to think of the worst possible punishment that he could. The door opened, and there standing before him was his sister, who was angry about being here, and Grafia, who, while blank in the face, did twitch, showing annoyance. Sorry we are late. Surzex-sama. Rias insisted that she needed to shower for so long before coming to see you. Rias pouted at her being outed for her need to shower. Surzex sighed. Fine, just Rias, take a seat. She nodded her head but frowned seeing Rebecca. What is she doing here? Oh, Rias, you don't seem pleased to see me. As pleased as I would to have a toothache. How harsh, is that any way to treat family? Only if I see fit. Surzex coughed, bringing the attention of the 2 feuding cousins back to him. If you 2 are done, then I would like the both of you to please stop. We have a serious matter to discuss. Rias was given a second chair and sat next to Surzex and Rebecca before looking at her brother with concern. What brings you here, brother? Well, for one thing, I want to ask you about a certain boy that is on campus. I've been getting reports from different people how you treat him, and how you might have had a hand in his mistreatment on campus, leading to us having to fire more than 80% of the staff and teachers and replacing them. Hell, the only person we have yet to replace or get complaints from is the cooking teacher Urza Scarlet. If you are talking about that boy Naruto, then it is because he was trying to get close to me through my night. Please, Rias, Sona was glaring at her. We both know that is bullshit. Rias glared at her friend. What, you are calling me a liar then? If the shoe fits, I actually know Naruto and know he is only friends with Kiba, while the rest of you seem convinced he is trying to join your group. Honestly, it disgusts me you are that shallow. Excuse me? Who the hell are you calling shallow? Rias was flaring her aura at Sona, who flared her own, showing she would not back down. More since I know about what happened at the park yesterday. Rias' eyes shot open before settling back down. What are you saying? I just revived my new pawn, nothing else. Surzex glared. Why was not made aware of the fallen angels that are nearby? Rias paled, realizing her mistake. Well, I never felt it necessary to bother you with this information. Plus, I needed to see why they were here and if I needed to take action against them. Oh, so you were using them to have the boy killed and then revive him to your peerage, is that right? Rias was starting to crack under the pressure her brother was pushing on her. So she decided to play the one good card she had against him. Well, I thought it was the best strategy at this time. Please forgive me, big brother. She gave him big puppy eyes she knew broke his will in being mad at her about something. But it instead had the effect in making him even more upset. What about the other boy that was at the park? What other boy? Rias was sweating on the inside. How did someone know that asshole was there? I'm talking about the boy named Naruto, the same one you have been torturing for weeks, the one that is friends with Sona, and the one that is supposedly the only one that did not belong there. I don't know, maybe he wanted to watch the date and humiliate Issei but was killed alongside him? Really, is that the case? Then why did Grafia find your magic there and some residual magic indicating you blasted someone? Rias gritted her teeth, not daring to lash out at her brother. After all, he was the only person right now that could get her out of jam at this point. Well, I thought he was planning on attacking Issei out of some revenge. Rias, tell me the same reason. What are you talking about? I am telling you the real reason, brother. No, you are not. That time of residual magic is only used in offensive spells, and you said it yourself that he was probably killed by the fallen angel anyway. So why would you need to throw a spell at him? Rias couldn't come up with anything. She had backed herself into a corner, and now had no way of talking her way out. I'm disappointed in you, Rias. Surzex could only look down at her sister and frown at the fact that she really did it. He hoped for some kind of reasoning behind it, but the truth was far worse than that. She basically tried to kill the boy in the hopes of having him out of her life. You know the consequences for killing a human, yes? Yes, brother. Rias gritted her teeth but bared it more because this was not as bad. Killing a human was a problem, but not one that couldn't be fixed in the near future. All it took was some mind-erasing magic, and then the problem would be gone, and worst they would do is have her pay a huge fine. Normally I would punish you for this crime with a minor fee, but given the situation that you ended up in, the punishment is more severe. What, why? Just for some dumbass human? Surzex finally let his aura flare and the entire room started shaking and his chair turned into nothing. Grafia was sweating from the pressure while Rebecca and Sona were trying not to pass out from the pressure. Rias, she was the center of the pressure, and it was slowly covering her body and forcing her into a kneeling position. You will not disrespect the Sparta heir. Do you understand me? Sparta heir. She tried to stand up, but the pressure was building around her. Yes, Naruto Uzumaki is actually Naruto Sparta. Thanks to Sona showing up when she did, she managed to use the piece that is given to everyone to help find the Sparta heir and bring them to life. Today he has officially returned to us, and now is going to be brought into our world. From there, we are going to talk to him about his position and everything else that is needed. But that piece I never dash. Rias remembered how recently whenever Naruto showed up in their club it was going haywire, like it knew he was there and wanted to be with him. But she thought it was just acting up to something else like Issei. Once Naruto died it stopped acting up, meaning that it was not Issei, and this left her annoyed. She never paid much attention to it, but now she is cursing herself for it. Regardless of knowing it or not, you committed a great crime against the Devil King's family. Normally this would mean execution, but as you were not aware of who it was or that we had no idea who it was matters in this situation. So as punishment you are going to spend the next 2 weeks in the underworld doing nothing more than relearning everything that it means to be an heiress to the family, and what it means to be a gremry. Brother, what about my territory? He looked over at Rebecca. Rebecca was willing to look over the territory while you are away, and Sona is still a cohabitator as well. So this should be able to run without you here for a couple of weeks. Rebecca coughed. If I could, Surzex? He nodded his head. Rias Gremry, I challenge you to a game of chess for your knight Kibayuto. Why would I accept that? Rebecca smiled. 1. It was your knight that asked me for this transfer. 2. I feel it is my obligation to test your skills with chess and see how you fare against someone other than your queen and Sona here. And finally, I will be betting my own pieces in this match. You win, you get my bishop and my knight. What do you say? Rias's eyes shot open and smiled, thinking. Easy win, fine cousin, you're on. A table was teleported between them and both sat in front of the board with Rebecca saying, Your move. Outside the student council office. Naruto and Tsubaki had managed to make it to the student council's office, but Naruto noticed that she was waiting for something to happen. Before he could ask, the door was kicked open and out came a stomping Rias. She saw him and snarled at him and started making her way to him. Naruto narrowed his eyes at her and didn't back down, while his eyes started to flash green for brief seconds. This caused Rias to back up for a second but return with her eyes turning red. You think you are some hot shit now that you're a member of the Devil King's family? Naruto stopped glaring. Huh, what are you talking about? I'm talking about you being a descendant of Sparta. Are you really that dense idiot? Didn't Tsubaki tell you anything? No, she didn't. In fact, she said Sona would explain everything when we get into her office today. Plus, Rias-sama, I never knew he was a child of Sparta. Turning to him, she bowed to him. I apologize for how I acted this morning. Naruto waved his hand. It is fine. I mean, it is nothing really, just forget about it. She smiled before glaring at Rias, who was stopped glaring by Grafia. She had her hand on Rias's shoulder. It is time to go, Rias. Let me gather my pawn first. She nods her head. Fine, the trip home will be a perfect time to explain the situation to him. Both left while Rias whispered. Watch your back. Naruto just watched her walk away while sighing. Man, what a bitch. Indeed, but she is a child of the Gremory family. It is to be someone of great respect regardless. Tsubaki motioned for Naruto to follow her into the room, and in there he saw another female version of Rias with a smug smile on her face while also having a lighter shade of red hair than her counterpart. But he did see a male version of her sitting in a fancy-looking chair. Greeting Naruto, please have a seat. Looking at Sona, he bowed his head to her while Tsubaki took her position behind her king. He then walked into the chair that was once belonging to Rias and sat down with a frown on his face. So can someone explain what is going on, please? I mean, yesterday I was sure I was dead, but for some reason I'm alive. People are calling me Sparta, and it seems like I have some kind of prestige that no one has explained to me yet. Indeed, Naruto-sama. Turning his head, he looked at the red-haired man. My name is Surzex Lucifer, the brother of Rias Gremory, and the leader of the Four Mouths and the current holder of the title of King of the Underworld. That is until you come into power again, my lord. What do you mean? Are you guys saying you're devils? He was well aware who Lucifer was due to his friend having a deep love of the Bible and wanting to fight in the name of God. Yes, we are. Out of their backs came bat-like wings, and that freaked him out a bit. You have them too. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this and imagined wings like that out of his back. But his were different. They took the form of full leather wings that seemed to be larger in size and coming out of his shoulders instead of his back. The group looked at his wings in curiosity before they dispersed their own, while he sent his away as well. So this whole thing is about devils and angels, and the great holy war are real then? Yes, as you know from the Bible that Lucifer fell from heaven and established the underworld. This led to us forming an army to fight them, and in time we were wiped out to the point we lost the original leaders of the underworld, and their descendants took over in our place. In time though, me and 4 of my friends along with your grandfather lead the charge to change the underworld, and thanks to this we won the war. We soon put your grandfather in place as the king of the underworld with his wife serving as his queen. Wait, but who is my grandfather? His name is not one that is associated with the devils in the Bible due to his traitorous history. Sparta, the strongest devil and demon in the history of the underworld. He changed the history of the worlds when he sealed away a powerful demon named Mundus into the darkest pits of hell before assisting us in the great war against the other holy factions and the civil war. But in this time he took a wife named Eve who was changed from an angel in the Bible to a human that was a companion for Adam. So the story is about them then? Yes, after your grandfather married your grandmother, God saw this as a betrayal of his own blood and hated the fact she chose him over her family. I see, but what does this mean for me? Well, you see, after your mother was sent away after your grandmother's died, she came back as a force to be reckoned with and took the underworld by storm. Sadly, she also disappeared after so long and eventually was rumored to be with child. We are still not sure who he was, but it was someone of great power. In time she died and you disappeared where we were not sure of your gender, but knowing that somehow during the time in the human world your demonic power was sealed away. Your origin and everything that made you a Sparta was stripped of you. So only the piece that Sona used to revive you could bring out your heritage, thus you are proven to be the one true Sparta. Okay, but what is exactly the thing you call the piece? We call it the peerage system, which is a means of reproducing more of our numbers and making us flourish again. In the sense of a chess game, we are able to recruit people to certain position, and at this same junction allowing them to take on certain perks. But you on the other hand do not fall into this system due to your piece making you an automatic high-class devil noble. Meaning you are now able to have your own set. Congratulations. Naruto smiled knowing he now has more pieces to fill in his weird family image, but more questions that still need to be answered as well. But at least he was someone with connections apparently, and his mother left allies that she could depend on him to help him. So what does that mean for me here at Ko at least? We've talked to Rebecca and Sona here. We've decided that it would best that you stay on campus until you are firmly established again. At this same time, Serafal has volunteered to send someone to help you train and get your strength up to where you need it to be a Sparta and take the throne. Yep. Serafal chirped as she jumped up excitedly, making her bounce with her movements. I want you to be as strong as possible to protect my dear Sona. Naruto blinked before looking at Sona, who sent him a look saying she would explain later. Okay, so when are they coming? Today? No, they could not come until tomorrow, so you have today to just get things in order before they show up. Word of advice though, be ready for a rough time. They do not train easy. I'm ready. I've had some training in the past with martial arts and kendo, so I think I can have a good chance of surviving this. Surzek smiled and stood up. Well, if that is all, I shall be heading out. Rebecca, report to me how things are going, and Sona, make sure Naruto has been filed as leave of school for at least his basic classes. No? Yes, Lord Lucifer. After this he teleported out of the room, and Naruto looked at his friend and she smiled. Welcome to our world. I shall go over the rest of the details with you. Might want to get yourself situated, this is going to take a while. Well, if don't need me then, Rebecca bowed to her and left the room. Naruto looked and asked, she really is related to Rias? Yes. Naruto laughed, and Sona soon joined in before getting down to business. Time skip. Naruto was tired. After getting some time off from school, he had to spend most of his time learning about everything devil-related and things related to his position. It was an exhausting task, and every time he dozed off a little bit, Sona was there to dump water on his head to get him back on track. So far he knew about half of the clans, their heirs, their bloodlines, and what they have added to the underworld in the last couple of years. Also learned of the peerage systems, the top groups, the reincarnated pieces, and the sacred gears that are out in the world. Apparently it was rumored that someone in Japan might have had the Longinus gear boosted gear, but sadly it would seem that the rumors were false, or they were just visiting for a short time. Naruto was yawning from the exhausting day and ready to go to bed until he felt someone behind him. Turning his head, he saw it was a man wearing a fedora hat, large trench coat, and seemingly black clothes underneath it all. From what he could see, the man had the aura of someone of the mystical world. So another stray devil has wandered away from their master. Sorry buddy, I'm not a stray devil, whatever that is. He laughed. Regardless, little devil, you are in my path, and thus must be eliminated. He soon held his hand out, forming a light spear in his hand. Naruto glared. So he was the same kind of being that chick that ran him through the other night. The phantom pain was coming back, but he had to act quickly or this guy was going to kill him too. If I only had a sword. Soon he gripped his left hand and felt some magic gathered around his hand. Looking down, he saw he had a straight blade sword with two black wings crossing at the guard and having a black and red handle. The blade was decorated with some intertwining marks leading to snake heads at the tip. From there he could see sets of inscriptions on the blade, but they were written in a way he couldn't read them. Huh, freaky, but alright, let's see if this can help me out. Naruto took his kendo stance with his sword in front of his face. The fallen angel charged him and slammed his weapon downward. Die, devil scum! Naruto blocked with his sword, moved to the side, but the spear shattered the minute it made contact. What, but how? Naruto reacted quickly and rotated the blade around and quickly sliced the man's stomach, leaving him jumping back in pain. Damn it! You brat, how dare you! He gathered more magic around his hand and summoned another spear into his hand. He threw this time, and Naruto quickly sliced the blade down on the spear. It shattered as well, but he saw him charging him with another spear in hand. He had a smile on his face while aiming to plunge the blade into his stomach again. Damn it, I can't reach him in time. Within that split second, black lighting came out of his blade and soon traveled through his body and covered his stomach. It shattered the holy spear with no damage to his body. Seriously, what the hell are you? He jumped into the air and summoned a single pair of black feather wings. Don't know about you, but I'm starting to get the hang of this battling with other supernatural beings. What do you mean? I've only been a devil for a day. The man's eyes shot out of his sockets. That's impossible. I've been alive for centuries, and yet you seem to be able to match me at every turn. I refuse to believe this is possible. He summoned two spears into his hands and threw them both down at Naruto. Thinking quickly, he pointed his sword at the incoming attack and pulled on something inside of him he could feel. Out of the blade shot a straight beam of black lighting again and shattered the attack once more. But this time, the move continued onward and pierced the man's stomach, making him cough up blood. Damn it, I don't seek die at the hands of some newly reincarnated devil. No, I refuse to let this happen to me, not when we are so close to your goal. Naruto could feel he was dying, so acting on instinct he summoned his wings and took into the sky. In seconds he found himself on top of the man, and with a mighty swipe removed his head from his shoulders. The blood poured out of his body and the head hit the earth beneath them with a splat, causing it to explode on impact. The body continued to cover him in blood before it too fell from the sky. Upon impact he saw the wings were broken in different angles, the feathers were scattered into the wind, and more blood was pouring out of the body onto the pavement. Naruto landed on the ground and sent his blade away with a thought. Phew, that was too close. More experienced guy could easily have taken me down in the moments I was trying to work on summoning the sword and the magic. You're right. Turning around he saw someone emerging from the tree line. Standing there was probably one of the cutest girls he has ever seen in his life. She was a small girl with snow-white hair, green eyes, and was wearing a very daring but cute outfit. It consists of a black vest, black panties, black stockings, and a pair of pink shoes. Her face had stitch marks but did not deter from her cuteness. Naruto saw she was carrying a set of black and he thinks purple odd-shaped knives, and it put him on edge. Who are you? She looked at him with a tilt of her head. My name? Oh, she bobbed her hand while putting her knife away. I'm Jack, also known as Jack the Ripper, and I'm Sona's pawn. She bowed to him and Naruto quickly returned to the bow. So why are you here? She looked at him blankly. I was supposed to test you and see where you stand among the other devils. But the fallen angel did that for me, so there was no need for me to act. So I'm here to give you and then give Sona-sama my evaluation. Okay, so how did I do? I would say you are definitely mid-class level overall. While your magical power and density along with some of your sword techniques, and with how you were quick to react in a fight are good, the rest not so much. You don't know how to fully draw on your magic quicker, which can be fatal for faster enemies. Also, you seem to lack the means to fully grasp the power inside of yourself, and thus are limited to your sword. Plus, lack of experience fighting supernaturals is a problem as well. You were just lucky it was another fallen angel and this one weaker than the one prior, otherwise the outcome might have been different. I see, thanks for that. Naruto looked her over and saw her shivering from the cold air. It was close to winter, so he wasn't surprised about the nippiness in the air. So walking up to her, he took off his school jacket, with a little blood on the sleeves and on the front of the jacket, and put it around her shoulders. She looked up at him. You'll catch a cold if you stay out here dressed like this, you know. He smiled at her, and she looked at the jacket, and then back to him. Her eyes showed confusion before settling into the warmth of the jacket, ignoring the smell of blood. Thank you? He smiled. No problem, Jack. So are you going home now? Yes, this tree should do nicely. Naruto saw her hop into a nearby tree and frowned. She didn't have a home of her own. Feeling pity for her, and knowing what it is like to need to find a place to sleep outside, he said, Hey, you can come with me. I don't mind if you stay at my place if you really need to. She looked at him for a second and then hopped out of the tree. Are you sure? Sure, come on, let's go. Naruto led her back to his house, gave her some food, and then showed her how to use the shower. After cleaning up and giving her one of his shirts, she rolled into his bed and slept on top of him. He sighed, figuring this is something more to do with her childlike personality. He would ask her about her being the Ripper from England sometime in the near future, but for now he would just let her sleep. Next day, Naruto was in the student council office after having dropped off Jack at her classroom. He was dressed in a short-armed t-shirt, some shorts, and wearing a pair of tennis shoes that were old and worn. Sona had told him that his teacher was going to show up soon and told him to wait there. So he waited for them to show up. He figured they would come through a transportation seal, but no, they came through the door. They were a blonde-haired woman wearing a really revealing white outfit showing off most of her other than the tits and some of the inner parts. She had it in a single suit design with some armor along her shoulders, thighs, and wearing heel boots. She also was settling for a white and blue armor look while carrying a large blade on her back that was curved at the tip of the blade, leading to it leading off in two different directions. Her hair reached down the back of her neck, and she had dark blue eyes that just seemed to stare into the depths of his soul. So you are the Sparta heir that everyone is going crazy over and I'm supposed to train? Yes, and you are? She smiled slightly. My name is Veronica, also known as the Blood Valkyrie of the Devils. I'm Seraphil's knight, also known as Sona's caretaker when she was a child. How interesting. Naruto acted on instinct, ducking out of the way of a straight sword strike at his chest. He summoned his own blade and quickly parried a strike away from his head when she spun the blade. Then he lunged with his own strike at her chest, but she blocked it with the side of her sword. It had tinged against it, and then she swung it, sending him flying across the room. The paperwork was scattered around the room, and some of the windows had broken from some of the earlier swings. Not bad, brat. You might just be worth training, if you can keep up, that is. She put her right hand out and offered it to him. Naruto slowly hesitantly reached his hand out and shook her hand. She smiled, "Nice grip, kid, but hopefully we can get you up to snuff in a couple of weeks." She sliced the air and soon a portal opened up leading to some kind of desert-like area. "Come on, we need to get going. If we start now we might be able to get you to the level of a high-class devil in about a week." She walked through the portal and Naruto followed behind hesitantly. From there, he felt his body was heavier than before and was having a hard time walking around. Looking at the environment, he saw that it really was nothing more than a giant wasteland with nothing but large rocks and formations all around them. What the hell is with this place? The gravity here is 10x as heavy as the normal gravity level. Trust me, you'll get used to it in a couple of days. Really, I kinda find that hard to believe right now. Yeah, you will, plus the time flow is different in here as well. Naruto looked at her with a confused expression. She sighed. Think of this way, we spend a whole day outside training and here it is a week in here, got it? Oh, so for every day there is a week in here? She smiled. Precisely. Now let's see if Sona's chosen man really is worth her affection, Veronica said as she grabbed her massive sword. Sona's what? Dodge. Naruto quickly jumped into the air to dodge a slash. Hold on. What did you mean by that? Less talking and more fighting. This was going to be a long day. Sona was sitting in her office going over some school documents that the student council needed to fill out. Shuffling through the papers, she saw one of the teachers asking for Naruto to be forbidden from returning due to him not attending any more of the basic courses without a real excuse. She narrowed her eyes on this document, and the peerage gulped at the sight of her having a dark aura form around her body. She wrote something down on the paper before having her familiar appear on her desk. It was a small black cat with wings with golden eyes that burned with a fire in them. This was known as the Demon Hell Cat, and it is considered a moderately rare familiar that one can get. Not only does it have tremendous fire abilities, but it also can shape-shift on its own while growing to learn other powerful skills such as illusions and granting elemental resistance to allies. A very versatile partner for someone that is considered one of the most strategic devils among the rookies. Take this to the school board and make sure to have this followed to the word. She then pulls out a treat from her desk, a small cat snack that it started drooling at the sight of. It took one paw and gave a salute, and ate the meal before poofing away in a small torrent of fire with the document in paw. Sona nodded her head, happy her work for that matter was done, but then heard a cough. Looking up, she saw it was a blonde boy with the school uniform minus the jacket. He was similar to Naruto in that they both have blonde hair and dark eyes, but the problem is that he was not as unique as him. While Naruto's eyes were slits, and he just had a natural magnetism, he was more of the person that was a pretty boy. This seemed to win over some of the girls in the peerage plus his helpful personality, but she and Tsubaki were not impressed with him. If they didn't have a crush on Naruto already, they might have entertained the idea of dating him or Kiba at least, but that was not the case. Tsubaki was interested in Kiba at a time, but when she confessed to him, he admitted that he was not interested in her and wanted to stay good friends with her and be more of a brother figure to her. She was upset but agreed to this and soon developed a good between them, and this led to him teasing her when they met in the hall about Naruto and her crush on him. Might not be noted, but she did put him into a wall a few times for those teasing remarks, and she had to fix them and use magic to erase the memory that there was a dent in the wall. Yes, Saji? I was wondering about something. It is about the new girl that took Rias's place, Rebecca. Yes, what about her? Who is she exactly? I mean, I can guess she is relative, but what exactly is the whole relationship with them? Sona sighed and put her pen down, seeing the rest of her peerage that didn't know staring at her as well. Rebecca Gremory, she is a rookie devil like myself and born of a high-class family as well. Her standards are the same as mine and Rias, only she is looked down on lower than Rias due to her not being the heiress to the clan. However, she has a legitimate claim for the title since she is the daughter of the oldest sibling of the head of the clan. While her mother did not have an interest in leading, the rest of the clan wants to see her succeed instead of Rias. Why though? She sighed. As you might have guessed, Rias's recent activities have not exactly been the shining example of someone that is an heiress. The clan has grown even more frustrated with her being super picky about her peerage pieces, thus having the fewest out of the rookies and also being considered by any one of the weakest of this generation. While her power and the power of her queen could easily swamp out most peerages, the problem is that she has focused too much on quality over quantity. Whereas Rebecca is the opposite, even being born without the power of destruction, she has shown incredible feats unheard of someone that is in her position. Many say her mastery over magic is top tier, and she even has mastered multiple rare elements at this time along with forming a powerful peerage. I've only seen one or two of them, but I've never seen the whole thing. How strong is she compared to us? Tsubaki was curious about the girl's peerage. Ha! I bet we could take them. Sona shook her head. No, we can't, Saji, more because I know for a fact they only need their rook to beat us. She is a monster in her own right with a powerful sacred gear that makes her even more dangerous. Compared to the rest of the rookies, she is second in the strongest list of them. Serorg is considered the strongest purely because Rebecca does not act out in public or make her presence known. She is the one that flies under the radar the most. I see. Saji sweated at the thought of a rook so strong that it could take down a peerage by itself, while he knew no one in their peerage could do that in the slightest. That is not the only thing to be worried about. Due to Rebecca, Rias feels her position is threatened by her, and the clan is pushing for her to step down for Rebecca. This ultimately, I fear, is going to lead to the clan having a fight between the two of them to find out who is the rightful heiress, and the one that is going to lead the clan into the next generation. But does that mean Rias's father will be outed? Sona shook her head. No, he will still be the clan head, but he will pass the duties on to Rebecca when the time comes. Sona sighed and looked out the window, but I fear the day it happens, for this will change everything for everyone in the underworld. Hidden Plains Realm. There was a clashing of swords ringing throughout the landscape. People would see two blurs moving at incredibly high speed and just barely able to make out two swords smashing into each other. One that was larger than the other, and just being blocked by the narrowest margins. They broke away again, and another strike would follow with a big forward thrust before being redirected into the sky. Then a bolt of lightning came from the smaller blade and aimed at the one with the bigger sword. But they managed to move out of range of the attack and disappear into the distance. The two blurs stopped at the top of opposing mountains, showing Naruto standing on the peaks breathing heavily. Veronica is on the other one, and is just standing there nonchalant with some sweat coming down her forehead. She aimed her blade at him and was gone in another blur. Naruto managed to block this strike but was sent flying through another rock pillar. He crashed through and then hit the ground behind him and left a small crater. Is that all you got? Naruto coughed before standing up again on wobbly legs. No, I can keep going. Veronica stared at him while floating there with her wings. She smiled slightly before sending her sword away. I can respect that, but unfortunately our time here is up. How has it really been a day? Yes, a week has passed in this world, meaning a day has passed in the real world. Okay, so I can go then? He sent his sword away, and she nodded her head. Yes, but you have to return in a few days for another session. I can see you clearly have pushed yourself beyond normal limits, and I think you can have tomorrow to train in the real world. Consider this a break from our busy schedule. The only reason I'm doing this is that you have worked so diligently with everything. Your swordsmanship has improved tremendously that you can see my moves. Yeah, first time we did this I ended up cut up pretty badly. She nodded her head. Yes, but your reaction time has improved, and I can honestly say that you are ready for most skilled sword masters at this time. But don't think. I know there are hundreds of weapons and styles out there that can easily harm me even if the sword user is weaker than me. You've told me that every day we've been in this world. Naruto sighed and sat down on the ground, but I will admit the first thing that I had to deal with was this insane amount of gravity. If not for that, I think my training might not have been as fruitful as before. Well, if Jack's report is accurate, then you are a natural even with it being a while since you held a weapon and seriously trained martial arts. You'll be able to move better than you today soon. Okay, anything else? She nods her head. Yes, your magic, you seem to bring out an unknown form of lightning that is black. I don't know about it much myself, but it is something to be careful in using, alright? Don't want to hurt someone when you don't mean to, okay? Sure, can't do much with it yet, but at least I can draw it out when I need to. She smiled. Yep, now get going. She waved her hand and summoned a portal so he could leave. The minute he was gone, she sighed before pulling out her sword again and started going through some more drills. She couldn't let a child catch up to her too quick. After all, Sona only deserved the best from her suitors, and he was no exception to this rule. Back in the human world, Naruto felt the difference in the gravity immediately. First, he felt it when he stepped into the student council room and seemed to be able to move faster with the smaller amount of resistance than he had before. More so, he managed to get past the normal boundaries that were set in front of him, and Sona even mentioned when seeing him she could sense the difference in his power from before. Naruto thanked her and told her he was going home and would join her tomorrow for anything they might have tomorrow. She mentioned that they were going to be doing a job to kill some stray devils in the nearby area and that Rebecca was going to be joining them in this excursion. Nodding his head, he walked out of the office and off campus. He was tired and only wanted to get some sleep after barely sleeping in that other world. The gravity was a problem, and sometimes Veronica would not let him rest until he managed to complete a specific drill or do something to her that she felt was needed to survive, like push her back a few feet, or just lead to redirecting one of her strikes. But on his way home he saw a girl struggling with her luggage. Knowing his caretaker would want him to help, he walked up to her. "Hello there, you need help?" The girl turned to him in shock. "Oh, sir, you can understand me?" Naruto stared at her for a few seconds before continuing. "Yes, I was trained as a child to be bilingual." "Amazing!" She had stars shining in her eyes, and he laughed. She then put her fingers together. Could you help me? I'm currently lost." Naruto smiled. She was so innocent, but the veil might be the reason why she was a nun, from what he gathered. From what he was told by Veronica and Sona, the church were their enemies and someone that they should not associate with. But he told both of them he would judge the person and not the group, no matter what has happened in the past. Sona was conflicted while Veronica smiled, saying, "You'll be a good king." He didn't know what she meant by king exactly, but he was happy she agreed with his perspective. "Sure, where are you going?" "I'm supposed to volunteer at the nearby church. But I can't seem to find my way there, and anyone that I asked brushed me off or had this weird look on their face and drooling." Naruto's eyes twitched, and he smiled. "Don't worry about them, I'll show you." He led her away from the station, and soon they proceeded to the church. But on the way there she saw a boy had scraped his knee and healed him. He saw it was a green glow, showing she had some kind of magical power, or a sacred gear if he had to guess. She smiled at the child, but the mother quickly took her kid away while telling him not to talk to such people. Naruto frowned at the comment. Without warning, he sent a small pulse of lightning magic from his hand into the woman's back, and this caused her to moan out loud before blushing. Naruto smiled. He might not have the exact science down yet, but he could produce his magic to work as stimulation too. So yeah, she climaxed in public and now has to walk home knowing this. What a bitch. You shouldn't say that. Most people act that way when I use my gift. Naruto frowned and pat her head. She looked up at him and smiled. Anyone that acts like that just don't understand how awesome you are. I'm sorry I never got your name. She smiled, feeling happy that someone felt so positive about her. I'm Asia Argento. I see. Well then, don't worry about it. I know that your gift is something amazing, and so do many others that will you meet in the future. I promise you, ever need anyone to stand by you, come and find me and I will. She hugged him, shocking the poor boy and feeling some of his injured ribs cracking from the pain. But he just ignored it, feeling the tears running down his shirt. Thank you. I've never felt such joy before. May God bless you. Naruto smiled while wondering why he did not have a headache from hearing his name. Might be something to look into soon. It's okay, Asia, now let's get to this church you need to get to. They continued their walk through the city until they arrived at the church, where he sensed a dark presence from. She thanked him and offered some tea, but he declined to say he had to head home, otherwise he would miss tomorrow. She thanked him again and told him to stop by when he could, and he agreed, feeling he might have to look into this soon. SCR. Sona had narrowed eyes at Naruto, and he looked at her defiantly. You can't see the nun again. Tough Sona-chan, I'm the one person in town that see her and help her when she needs it. But the church dash, Naruto raised his hand, stopping her. Look, the issues of the past are just that, the past. There is no point in holding on to old grudges that have long passed. I mean, I'm not saying trust them completely, but we should be basing this off the character of the person rather than the group they are a part of. Sona narrowed her eyes. Even if they try to kill you? If they do, then I will deal with it, but as of now all I see is a girl that needs someone to stand by her. Sona and Naruto held a stare down, while the peerage gulped at this, and soon the thickness faded with Sona sighing. Fine, but please be careful. With the return of Sparta, this is going to draw many people to try and take you out. I know, but I will stand against all the odds no matter what it takes. Before the group could continue about the job that was on task today, a small imp-like creature appeared holding a big box on his back while carrying a little note card in his hand. I'm looking for a Naruto Sparta. That be me. He walked up to the little imp, and he handed him a slip. Here, sign this for me. Naruto did, and soon the chest was laid out on his desk. Ajuka sends his regards and welcomes you, Devil King. The imp disappeared with the slip, and Naruto opened the box and found a set of glowing chess pieces. The king piece was not there, confusing him a bit. Because you are a Sparta and were revived with a piece that I had, you are already a king in this case. Naruto nodded his head at Sona and saw they were all glowing with tremendous power. Then it hit him. They are all mutation pieces. Yes, you know what that is? He nodded his head. Yeah, some of the stuff you made me read mentioned that they are scarce to get, and to have a whole set is almost unheard of. Indeed, so you are one lucky devil in this case. Naruto nodded his head before closing the box up again and using a pocket dimension to hide the pieces. They heard a knock at the door, and entering the room was Rebecca with two people behind her. One was a boyish-looking girl wearing a kimono with a jacket over it and an eye patch. She had bluish-white hair and carried herself with a more stoic look. At her side was a girl with faded pink hair and a large chest, introverted red and black eyes that were opposites of each other. She was very pale and seemed to have one jagged line going down her left eye. Both women were stoic and seemed to barely register anyone in the room. Rebecca. Sona, are you ready for the excursion? She nodded her head and saw Naruto before bowing to him. Greetings, Lord Sparta, it is an honor to meet you. More so since I know that you are allied with my friend Sona and the issues with Rias being the most prominent. Please know the rest of the clan is not like her, and we wish you do not have a negative opinion of the rest of us. I know, and please just Naruto, I'm not sure I fit the position of that of a lord. Very well, Naruto-kun. She smiled at him, and Naruto blushed slightly. But then he felt his side being pinched by an annoyed Tsubaki, wondering what her deal was. The group soon teleported out of the SCR and in front of an old building that seemed to have seen better days. Entering the building, Naruto and the group immediately sensed the presence of three devils that were lurking in the shadows. Something smells delicious, can't wait to peel the skin from your bones. Out of the shadows came a woman with the bottom of some kind of dark, sinister creature but the top of a beautiful woman. Her bare were on display, leading to Saji blushing at the sight of them until smacked on the back of his head to focus. His king was explaining everything to him along with what it means to be part of a peerage at this point. Naruto sighed, figuring this was the worst time to go over the system with a new member. Hell, she forced him to stay after school to learn about this 2 days ago. Also, he feels two more powerful presences in the room and saw that it was two devil-horned looking man with red eyes. Seems she has backup. Rebecca turned to her rook Hokuto. Be a dear and deal with that one on the right. I feel this would be a waste of our time either way, but I feel you are best suited for the job. Of course, my king. Without hesitation, the man with horns and a white shirt was sent flying into a wall with a vicious hook. From there, she disjointed her left shoulder, and out of it came a sword made purely of bone. She then swung the blade around before charging the devil again, who was struggling and summoning some magic of his own to counter her. But her speed was higher than most rooks, and in time was cutting him to pieces while piercing different parts of his body. What is that? Naruto looked at Rebecca, who smiled. That is my rook, Hokuto's special sacred gear known as Dead Bone Pulse. It is known as a powerful gear that can harden the body to the point of never breaking, fire bones out of the fingers like bullets, creating spikes out of their backs, and finally even creating powerful bone weapons. However, as you can guess, there is a drawback of doing this. Naruto looked at her and saw she was avoiding most strikes one as a rook would take usually. The more she pulls the bones out or uses her gear, the weaker her body gets over time. Exactly, that is why I also made her my rook with a higher physical skill set than my other pieces and have a better defense overall. Good choice strategically, this gives her a chance of higher survival when in reality in other positions it might leave her vulnerable in a fight. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the other demon rushing at them with a black orb in his hand. Naruto summoned his sword and covered it in lighting before swinging it at the man. He forced the man to dodge the beam of lightning coming at him, but he quickly appeared behind him with flash covering his whole body. He then swung his blade into his back, sending him into the ground with authority. The devil growled, firing another blast at him, but he dodged the attack before appearing a reasonable distance away from him. There he saw an opening when he started to gather his magic into a powerful orb where he fired it at him. Naruto then dashed forward where he tore through the sphere and then slashed his head off his shoulders, sending it crashing to the floor with a thud. Guess all that training is really paying off. I mean, I can't believe how easy it was to kill that fool. Looking over, he saw Sona and her group having Visser pinned to the ground after beating her severely. On the other side, he saw Hokuto going all out against the demon, but he seemed to be bleeding badly. This is boring. My king ordered your elimination, thus it shall happen. Try it, bitch. I was listening when your king told them about your weaknesses. He charged another dark orb and fired it at Hokuto, who just slashed it to pieces. Just because you know my weakness does not mean you can actually do something about it, fool. She pushed the bone back into her shoulder before concentrating on a bone in her fingers and aimed them at the demon. Now die. You first. The demon rushed at them, and at the same time he was shot in the head and fell to the ground with a thud. Is there anything you want to say, Visser? They both saw that Sona had Visser pinned and ready to finish her off, while Saji had managed to summon his sacred gear out to protect the peerage earlier from a sneak attack. But then the demon was snarling at them. Fuck you. Naruto narrowed his eyes and felt his energy spike a little, but he calmed down. Sona opened a magic blue circle, and soon water hit her, and this erased her from the spot while washing the blood away from the scene. That is all there is to it, Saji. That is so cool, President. Sona laughed lightly, and the rest of the group joined in while Rebecca giggled. Oboro and Hokuto, on the other hand, were just staring at him with boredom in their eyes. Naruto could only shake his head. This was really an odd group of people, but he could see things were just going to get more interesting with them around. After the job, Naruto decided to fly home. He felt the need to stretch his wings before having to worry about another brutal training session with Veronica tomorrow, and hopefully when he is out on the town soon he can find Asia again. He felt guilty for not telling her who he was and wanted to be honest with her, and maybe having her join his peerage as one of his family. More since she was such a little sister to him, and he wanted to protect her from the perverts of the world and basically make sure she always received love from him. He heard a crash. Looking down, he was shocked to see Asia was lying on the ground surrounded by broken window shards. Not just that, her outfit was missing the top, leaving her bare for all to see and her panties seeable. Naruto growled at the sight and saw a blonde-haired man with a gun and crazy look in his eyes approaching her. Naruto finally snapped when he licked her face and head to the ground. There he stood across from the man with his sword now at his side. Oh, another shitty devil, huh? How funny coming from a shitty priest. He smiled while pulling out a light sword. You won't talk so high and mighty to me when I cut you to pieces. Time to tear you to shreds. He first fired 3 rounds of his holy gun, but Naruto just used his lighting to move faster than the bullets. This caused him to dodge the strikes, and thus allowing him to remain unharmed. He saw Asia watching them fight and crying tears. She was showing the eyes of someone that was confused, betrayed, and humiliated. Naruto was going to get this asshole for doing this to such an innocent girl. Huh, so my bullets won't reach you? Then how about this? He swung his sword down at Naruto. He moved out of the strike, and just saw how slow he was. Naruto sighed. This guy was a joke compared to Veronica, who could have cut this guy in half while he was talking. So to settle this matter, he gathered lightning from the sky and shouted. Lightning! The bolt hit the crazy blonde priest and forced him to the ground, feeling fried to a crisp. Naruto frowned. This guy was weak, but he could see how a new devil might get killed for underestimating a nutcase like this guy. But he had another thing to worry about. Listen, Asia, I know you have a bunch of questions, but let's get you somewhere safe first, okay? She didn't answer, just nodding her head. So Naruto picked her up in a bridal carry and flew into the sky, leaving the priest screaming for him to come back and face him and die for being a heathen. After arriving at his home, Asia passed out on his couch, and he quickly left her extra clothing to cover herself in when she awoke. Going to his seal, he called Sona and filled her in on what was going on. So you are saying that this crazy priest was killing people in the city and might be connected to the fallen angels? Yeah, look, I know it is your position in your territory, but I'm not going to sit back and let these monsters do something to her when I can stop it. I'm not asking you to, Naruto, but please understand the consequences of your actions and what you want to do. Naruto shook his head. I know it is dangerous, and she could hate me for this, but I refuse to leave her in that situation. Even if I have to fight another faction to save her, you can bet I will. Sona looked at him through the hologram and sighed. Fine, just don't get carried away if it comes to it, please. The last thing our world needs right now is another great war to break out. Will do. He saw Asia was walking into the room and hung up to try and slowly make sense of the situation that is going on at this point. Naruto made some tea for her so to calm her nerves, and at this same time started making a place for her at his table, while facing her after she took a deep drink. So, I guess you have questions for me? Are you really a devil? Naruto nods his head. Yeah, I wanted to tell you the next time we met, but today kinda complicated things. I see, and does that mean you finding me was just some form of the plan? No, that was an honest accident. I never expected to run into you like that. She sighed. I understand, but I'm so confused why you are helping me. Because I want to. She looked at him shocked. He smiled. I don't want to hold grudges from the past. I want to move into the future and try to form bonds based on the person instead of the faction. You truly an honorable person, Naruto-san. He smiled. Yeah, I get that, but some call me an idiot. But you're not. Thanks, that makes me feel better. But can I ask you a question now? She nods her head. What were you doing with that guy, and why did he throw you out the window? He was freed, a rogue exorcist that has a fetish in killing people who are demons or summon demons. After killing the man, he wanted to get fresh with me, apparently due to the fact killing people seems to set him in what he called the mood. I see, and the reason you went through the window? He wanted me, I didn't want to, so he tossed me through after ripping off part of my top. Naruto nodded his head and walked up to her, rubbed her head. Well, just so you know, no matter what, I won't ever let him touch you again. I see you like someone I knew long ago. But in spite of that, I wanted to ask you something significant. He summoned his peerage set and brought out his pawn piece, shocking her. I want you to join my family, not as my peerage or servant but as my sister. I want to protect you as my family, and this is the best way for me to do this. Please let me do this for you. Asia looked at the piece, then to Naruto, and back to the piece before closing her eyes. She then opened her mouth. Asia was looking at the boy in front of her, and back to the pawn piece he was offering to her. She honestly was not sure. If she joined his peerage, that means she would turn her back on everything she once stood for. She would work for the devil race and become a servant to someone that opposed God. But on the other hand, she knew that he was only trying to protect her from the fallen angels, and given what they did to her, she was more than willing to turn away from them. Plus, Naruto was honest with her since the beginning and started wondering maybe, just maybe, it would be okay to become friends with him. There was something about him that was mesmerizing, and to her he was someone that was not going to judge her regardless of her decision. My answer is yes. Naruto smiled. Alright then, lay down. I'll do the ceremony really quick. He motioned her to the couch, and with his pawn he quickly runs through the chant, and soon his pawn piece floats into her chest. From there she wakes up and has her wings out of her back. Whoa, this feels amazing. Yeah, it is a bit of a rush. My pieces are mutation pieces, so they have a bit of an extra kick to them. Naruto smiled and hugged her. Welcome to my family, Asia. You can call me Nisan. She smiled. Okay, Nisan. She let go of him and they both sat down on the couch talking about what was going to happen in the next few days. Naruto invited her to enroll in their school, that way he and his friends could help her out, and keep an eye on her in case something happened to her. From there, he already placed in a call for a school uniform to be sent to his home when Sona had the chance. Naruto wished her a good night, and soon both were off to bed to get ready for the busy day that was ahead of them. Next day, Naruto got a letter on his table, and it was from Veronica, and he read the note. Naruto, something has come up and Sarah Fall needs me to take care of it. Since I will be gone, I need you to complete this training exercise today and make sure someone is watching. I want to know someone can vouch for the fact you are actually taking my training session seriously regardless of what you say. X 100 sit-ups 5 sets. X 100 push-ups 5 sets, X 20 weights. X 200 sword kata reps. Flying drill and running drills. Magical studies, be able to draw out more of the lighting and quicker as well. Meditate and enhance your control of your magic. Naruto read through the list and sighed, knowing this is going to be one of those busy days, and given he had the time off he could hang out anywhere. But he figured the best place to do this and get to know the current Gremory on campus was at the ORC building. Hell, he might run into Kiba if he is there and have a chance to spar with him, since he texted him a few days ago about him moving peerages. More so, he wanted to know more about why this Rebecca seemed to be respected, and what exactly is the hatred stemming from Rias to him and her. After waking up Asia and making sure she had a lunch for the day, he walked her to the school in her new school uniform that was delivered via familiar. Naruto smiled, seeing the excitement in her eyes and the joy of being at a school for the first time in her life. More so, he felt as if he was really a brother to her, wanted her to have an amazing first day while she was there. But he knew that there were perverts that were going to try something due to her being his sister, and if not, then the women are going to try and use her against him. If that was the case, then the gloves were off and he would definitely pound them into the ground. On the way to the school, he had run into Jack, who was following the two of them from the distance while mentioning she was here on Sona's orders. Making sure that no one is trying to get to the nun even if she was reincarnated into his peerage. Naruto sighed, figuring that she would do something like that, and find it more annoying that no one seemed to trust him with his decisions. Entering the school was something else, especially with most of the students blaming him for the disappearance of their idols. Well, most were convinced it was his fault, so they just settled on glaring at him, while staring mysteriously at the blonde girl with him. Some gushed over the cuteness of Jack, who just ignored them and focused on her mission, which was Asia. She was looking around the grounds nervously, and wondering if she was going to fit into the whole school system. Upon entering the student council room, Naruto informed Sona about Veronica not being there, so he was going to meet with Rebecca's peerage to find someone to spar with, and she agreed. But first he made sure Asia had everything and quickly walked her to her classroom along with Jack, but not before giving her some sweets he had in his bag. She hesitated in taking the sweets, but settled on taking them in the end. Naruto made it to the ORC building, and in doing this he sensed Rebecca was inside of the building, so upon entering the main room he saw her sitting behind a desk doing paperwork. "Hello, Naruto-kun." She smiled, making him blush slightly. "Hell, Rebecca," she frowned. "Is there something wrong?" "I would like you added Chan to my name." Naruto rubbed the back of his head and laughed nervously. Alright, if that is what you really want, I will." Naruto then saw a blonde-haired teen standing in the corner with a smile on his face, and he smiled. "Kiba. Good to see you, man." "Likewise, Naruto. After what I heard happened to you, I was really concerned." Naruto smiled. "Yeah, Rias sure did a number on me with that fallen helping in the process, but it worked out in the end." "Indeed, but thanks to that I'm finally serving Rebecca as her second knight." Naruto raised an eyebrow at this and turned to the red-hair king. "It's true, between the two of us we had a chess match where I bet 2 of my pieces while she bet her knight. Outside of him there was no one in her peerage that I really wanted other than maybe her other bishop, but having both of mine makes that complicated." "I see." Naruto looked at her and sighed. "Sorry, are you sure you are related to Rias Gremory?" She laughed at that. "Yes, unfortunately my cousin let her status go to her head, and this lead to her distance between us. Not only that, the problem that really is coming up lately is the whole thing with being heiress. While I can challenge for the position of heiress, I have no interest in leading the clan unless there is no other reason." "I see." Naruto raised an eyebrow. "Hey Kiba, how did you find out about my death?" He frowned. "Rias didn't make it a mystery of what happened to you." Flashback begins. "You did what, Rias?" "I told you, Kiba. I saw Naruto stabbed by the fallen and left him there to die. There my problems with him are solved, and the issues that he was causing between me and Sona is done as well." "Oh, and how did you know that he died that day?" "He is human and he is too stubborn to just lie there and die." "Are you really questioning your king?" "I am questioning you more on the grounds you have hated him for not giving you the attention you believe you deserve." Akino laughed. "Well, it would seem that our dear knight needs to be reminded of his duties to his king." She cackled, lightning in her hand, and Kaneko got off the couch. "Respect, Bucho-senpai." Kiba got ready to run while having his sword at the ready. "I respect many things about Rias. The difference is that I'm not blind to her blatant regard for life. Plus the contract we formed was based on that she would stay true to the idea that I would never have to stand with something that is against my beliefs, but that is a contract condition that has been violated." Akino narrowed her eyes and the rook quickly approached Kiba, but he was standing above her in a split second. Lighting came down, but he moved away from the attack, letting Kaneko be hit by the lighting. He then summoned a sword to his side and quickly dashed before coming up to Akino and having the blade at her throat, withdrawing a little blood from her neck. "You can feel it, Rias, can't you? The knight piece in me is weakening, and that means I can leave without repercussions for someone else's peerage." Rias growled at him and was about to summon her own magic, but then felt a seal flash on her desk, knowing it was from her brother's wife. She growled and quickly hopped into the shower to make sure he was properly prepared when facing her smothering brother. "We will talk later, Kiba. As of now, you are on lockdown." She walked into the shower while scattering her clothes, leaving him narrowed-eyed at her. Eventually he walked out of the room, ignoring the lighting that was crackling in the air and the growling coming from Kaneko. In the end, he exited the building before summoning a communication seal that he was given by Rias's cousin as a means to talk to someone when he needed to. Doing this, he could have her assistance to leave if he ever felt Rias was not a good king to him and wanted to leave. "Hello? Rebecca, it's Kiba, Rias's knight." "Oh Kiba, it's been a while, how can I help you?" "I need you to get me out of this peerage. Rias killed someone, and it was someone I considered friend. The only reasoning she gave is that the fallen did it, but I think there is more to the story, and she left him there to die out of spite." I'm supposed to join Surzex for a meeting with her, so I will do what I can for you, okay?" "Thank you. If you do this, then I will be forever in your debt." "Then you might join me as my other knight?" He smiled. "It would be an honor." Flashback ends. "So then she challenged her to a chess match and won me without problems." Naruto smiled. "Cool, it's good to know you are happy now, Kiba." "I agree." Rebecca coughed, getting the two friends' attention. "So what is it I can do for you, Naruto?" "Well, I was hoping to borrow Kiba for a little while and spar with swords. I was ordered by Veronica to train with the sword and at the same time to find a new style I have yet to fight on my own. While at this same time to practice magic and learn to harness it better without having such a long draw-out time." "I see. Kiba is free for the next 4 hours since I got him excused today from classes, so this works for me. While at the same time, come back after school hours and I will help you with magic training. After all, I would hate to see a future leader of the underworld not having more magical control than he has now. Thanks for saying I suck at magic nicely. Oh, far from it, but you just about average at this point, but you're right, the casting time is taking too long, so I have to draw out more of your potential at this point. Figures, that is something I'm wanting to work on. She smiled and said. Sure, but go ahead with Kiba, I'll talk to you later. Naruto left the room with Kiba, both looking to find an open spot in the forest for them to spar with each other. But after they left, a red summon circle appeared on the floor, and out of the circle came a blue-haired woman. She had blue eyes and white eyebrows along with a rapier at her side. Her outfit choice was a white general's outfit with long boots reaching up to her knees. Death, it is good to see you. How have you been, my queen? She frowned. Good for the most part, other than the unpleasant run-in with Rias. I figured. But she found a note handed to her, and opening the note, and reading it left her stunned. Is this for real? I'm afraid so, but why this happened is a mystery to me. She is up to something, but what? No idea, my king, but I know one thing for sure is that no matter what happens you will come out of this mess on top of everything. Rebecca smiled and went through her other paperwork while examining the results of past contracts that she had set up for her peerage members, leaving the note on the desk for someone to read. As of today, Rebecca Gremory is now the heiress of the Gremory clan and shall henceforth be known as the heiress unless challenged for her title, or if she is willing to forfeit to take a husband's name. Time skip. Naruto sighed. Today was a stressful one for sure. More since Kiba showed amazing talent as a knight, and someone that had amazing control of his weapons. His sacred gear made things difficult compared to Veronica, who only had one weapon to be used against him. He had different sword styles and weapons that he could use to him in this situation. For the most part, he had to also learn magic from Rebecca and Death, who was introduced to when he came back with Kiba. Death used her ice magic to make him think on his feet and react on instinct, while also fighting her at close range. Honestly, she was the most well-rounded person he had seen as of late due to her having a hand on her magic, and even mastery of close combat, and the use of that rapier she has. Naruto soon found himself creating some new moves with her assistance, with his black lighting one being a lighting-infused cut that can slice through almost anything that hits, and if only glancing someone, then the cut transfers the lighting into their body, leaving them immobile. On a counter note, he learned to create a giant ball of lightning at the end of his blade and throw it at his opponent, leaving it wandering the battlefield targeting his enemy. Finally, the best attack that he came up with at this point was after firing lightning into the sky, he managed to form a cloud over their spot and have it rain down lightning strikes at random and directly at her position. Death said his mastery of this move might be the thing that is going to throw opponents off the most if they don't figure out what he is going for until it is too late. For Naruto, he felt today was productive, especially when Rebecca sat down with him and started helping him draw out his raw demonic energy, which was bright red similar to that of the pod but different without the black tint in it. But she explained that they saw a green aura from his body and that this was not his demonic energy, there is not telling what it is. So they want him to be careful if he draws that power out because they feel it might be more dangerous than his demonic energy. It was condensed and weighed heavier than his demonic energy, which was already massive in its own right. Naruto shook his head from his training and walked through his door and saw Jack and Asia sitting there waiting for him while they were cooking some food for them to eat. Walking to them, he rubbed Jack's head and this leads to her smiling at the attention before he hugged Asia. Welcome home, Naruto and I. Welcome home, Naruto. Naruto smiled at the two girls. Good to be home. Training was harsh but productive today. So Asia, what are we having today? Something easy I found, pepper steak stir fry. Jack answered for Asia as she stirred the food while Asia went to the cupboard to grab some plates. Sounds good, Naruto said as he turned to look at Asia. How was your first day of school, Asia? It was great. I made a lot of friends and Jack was there to help me out whenever I was going to eat some lunch, and the student council was really nice too. That is good for you, sister. Make sure you are careful because not everyone is honest with intentions, okay? I know, Naruto well. She was taking a step and tripped on her feet and dropped a plate on the ground. Jack threw the spatula and walked away from her as she spun around and quickly pulled out one of her knives, then threw it past Asia's face and planting into the wall behind her. Jack was reaching for another knife but Naruto shot up and grabbed her hand and holding it away from the weapon. Jack, what the hell? Jack looked at Naruto, her crazy eyes and the fear that was etched into her. Huh! Jack snapped out of it shortly after looking at him and saw she had sent a knife past Asia's face and started to cry. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that to happen, Jack shouted as she collapsed to her knees, heavy tears flooding her eye. Naruto sighed as checked on Asia, seeing no cut on her face. Maybe I should take my food into my room, Naruto and I. Naruto nodded his head and she left the room with her plate with the reminder to bring it down when she was done. Jack, looking up, he saw the little girl crying her eyes out. What happened to you, little one? He pulled her into his loving grasp before she broke down crying even more than before into his jacket. He picked her up and cuddled with her on the couch until she cried herself out. From there she wipes the tears out of her eyes and then summoned her dagger to her side again from the wall. It just flew out of its place on the wall and back into her hand where she put the knives crossing each other on his lap. You asked me who I am, and the truth is that I'm the true form of the Jack the Ripper. My sacred gear is a venomous salamander-type sacred gear called Purum Salamandra. It was the weapon of choice and fear as it was the one that the original Ripper used during his time of chaos. At this same time, he had a child that did not inherit the weapon but named him Jeremiah and told him to not become like him, Jack said as she snuggled into Naruto's chest. However, this failed when my mother gave birth to me. I was born with this same sacred gear and my father left, not wanting to be shamed with the thought of another Jack running around killing people. My mother stood by me during these times and had loved me unconditionally while using me to eliminate those that dared to oppose her over the time of life. What happened then? After my mother was made an important noble of the ancient court in England on the magical branch, she took me down by the river. In that time she whispered to me she had a great gift for me, and when I closed my eyes I heard a bang, Jack said as her voice cracked and she started crying again. Naruto rubbed her head and patted her back, patiently waiting for her to finish her story. From this, I saw my mother holding a pistol in her hand with a smile on her face and me falling into the water while having a bullet lodged into my body. Jack sputtered. Thanks to my survival instincts, I was able to survive the bullet after being shot before, but not before passing out in the water. I awoke on the shores of a nearby riverbank, and from there, I was found by Sona and her family. Jack smiled weakly as she gripped Naruto tighter. They nursed me back to health and realized that I had a sacred gear, and after bonding with them I was made Sona's peerage piece. I see, and your mother never told you why she shot you. She shook her head, leaving Naruto to narrow his eyes at the thought of a woman doing this to her child. If she did not want the child, then she should have just given it to someone that wanted the child herself, but no, she wanted to use her for her talents, and then discard her so no one can know what she did. So, this is why you freaked out. Jack nodded into his body. The plate breaking reminded me of the gunfire for how loud it was, and it caused me to flinch in reaction to it. I understand. Naruto pat her head and she immersed herself in the affection he was showing her, but then was asked, what would you think of maybe we go and get the answers you want? Huh? Jack looked up into his blue eyes, feeling comfort in them. I mean, I have some time still before Veronica returns, so we could go and find the woman and find the answers to why she did this to you. But what about Asia? Once we drop her off, Sona can watch her for us. My classwork? I'm sure that if we ask Sona, she can have one of the other peerage members helping out with this. You. I'm fine with this. If you are going to live here, that means your family, and that means we are going to help each other out when the time comes. Jack blushed and looked down for a second, and looking at her daggers and feeling the blades pulse, as if pushing her toward this. Alright, let's do it first thing in the morning after we drop off Asia. Naruto smiled and kissed her forehead, and she blushed even harder to the point her face was completely red. You bet. Naruto picked Jack up again and walked to the table and placed her in a chair before he served them both some of the stir-fry the girls were making earlier. After they finished eating, Jack, Naruto, and a blushing Asia, with her hair up, bathed, walked into the bathroom, wearing nothing but towels around their private areas. Sit down, Naruto, Jack said as she pointed at the stool before the nozzle. I'll wash your hair and scrub your back. Sure, Naruto said as he sat down, drenched his body, and started scrubbing himself down as Jack stood behind him and added shampoo into his hair. Asia sat nearby and washed her own body as she watched Jack help Naruto. Don't worry, Asia, Jack said as she grabbed the nozzle and rinsed Naruto's hair. When I'm done scrubbing Naruto's back, I'll scrub yours. Thank you, and in exchange I'll scrub your back, Asia said happily, blushing a bit as she saw Jack drop her towel. Can you hand me the body wash, Naruto? Jack asked as she kept the water on him to keep his eyes shut. Naruto, feeling around for the bottle, handed it to her and took the nozzle from her. Jack poured some on her small and she grabbed his shoulders, pushed her chest out, and pressed them against his back and started to move. Naruto tensed and felt some blood move elsewhere when he felt two soft orbs with slight points on them mold themselves to his back and move around, creating suds. Jack. Naruto said as he started to look back but stopped. What are you doing? Scrubbing your back. Jack said, embarrassed. Shut up and let me finish. Naruto stayed silent and just enjoyed the sensation of Jack's against his back. Asia looked away and finished her cleansing and waited for Jack to finish. Soon after, Jack separated herself from Naruto and moved to Asia as Naruto rinsed off his back and then moved to the tub. Thank you, Jack, Asia said as she felt a washcloth graze her skin. Asia, Jack said as she switched places with Asia, who started scrubbing her back. Yes? Is it possible for me to try and forge a relationship with Naruto? Jack whispered loud enough for only Asia to hear her. I wouldn't mind, but don't you already have a relationship with him? Asia asked, confused as she started to wash Jack's hair. Jack blushed and poked her index fingers together. I mean, be his girlfriend, Jack said as her face got even more flushed. Asia awed and hugged the smaller girl. I don't mind. I think he would like that, Asia said as she pushed her bigger against Jack's head, making her upset she did not have a bigger body, but hers was softer from what she could tell and she still had time to finish growing. Next day. After Naruto dropped Asia off and had Sona know he was out of town and learned Rebecca was also gone, he was off. He took Jack with the promise to help her come through this darkness covering her life and promised he would make sure she was safe. Sona allowed it but wanted something from him to cash in on down the line. Tsubaki said she would also want something since this is her Kohide, but Sona argued against, but he agreed to it just to keep the two of them from fighting and to get to England faster. While some believe that England is completely controlled by the church, in reality the church's presence is about the same as it is in places in Asia and other parts of Europe minus Italy. For the most part, there were exorcists that are home there, but they generally don't bother with others as long as the devils and fallen and other races didn't bother them or harm innocent people in the kingdom. Naruto and Jack were pretty much not wanting to start a fight with the church and only wanting to find this woman and get answers from her. Looking around London, he saw that there were 3 fallen angels hiding in the city, and from the rumors they were protecting the woman. So in accordance they both agreed that it would be better to remove them quickly and quietly as possible. So going on this, Naruto killed one that was drinking at a nearby pub while the others were poisoned by Jack when she appeared at nearby food stalls and poisoned their food with her weapon's poison. They keeled over as fast as they were there, and soon they both heard that Jack's mom, Alexandria, was having all the rogue priests guarding her on high alert at her estate. So they knew where to go since she was located outside of London, meaning they could go crazy while they were outside the city limits. Upon approaching the grounds on foot and hiding behind the tree line, Naruto used special magical binoculars to see the outside and inside of the building. From what he could see, the groups were broken into 3 sections, with some being posted around the perimeter, some on the roof, and finally the ones that were guarding the hall to the woman. Okay, Jack, so how do you want to do this? Why are you asking me? Well, I figured since this is your coming home celebration, I figured you want to decide how to introduce yourself again. I still don't get the concept, but I want to do this quick. I hate being in this country, and being this close is making me more antsy at this point. Okay then, I'll take the guys outside while you deal with the people on the roof and inside the building. Naruto summoned his sword and with great speed blurred to the grounds and saw the 6 men gathered around the perimeter were walking around like soldiers. So he hid in the shadows, and when they passed him he slammed his sword through their throat before dashing at the next one and doing the same. In time he killed everyone on the perimeter, and floating up to the roof he saw the guards there were dead with knife strikes through the back of their heads. Going inside he saw more terror that was unleashed in the hall, with them all being beheaded and even having their guts ripped out of their bodies. At the door he saw Jack opening the door and seeing someone standing there while freezing for a split second. Hello, mother. Alexandria tensed as she blinked, realizing who she was looking at. Why you? It can't be. I shot you. Jack frowned at the comment and entered the room before throwing a knife at the pistol she was reaching for. The gun in question was broken from the straight strike, and she pulled her hand back while staring at her former child in fear as the thrown knife returned to its master's hand. I have questions and you are going to answer them, Jack said as she caught her knife. Alexandria frowned. What are they? Why did you shoot me that day? What did I do that bothered you so much? Alexandria growled before smiling brightly. You want the truth, then fine, here it is. I never wanted you from the beginning. If your father was not someone of a noble lineage, I would never have had you. Alexandria snarled evilly. More so, I would never have had a child of the monster that hunted women in the dark. But when he told me about the sacred gears and how yours is powerful in their own right, then I knew I could use this to my advantage. Jack's eyes widened as she heard these words. When I knew the other lords were going to make claims to the title of the head of this branch of magic, I knew this was my chance. Alexandria stated. Sadly, your father did not see this and tried to take you away from me, so when he was running I shot him in the back while he named you with his last breath. That fool wanted you to be a normal child for most of your time before your gear came to the surface. Why you killed my dad? He loved me? Alexandria's smile grew. Yes, your father named you Jack and I killed him to keep him from stealing you away from me. But then those people I killed that you told me were bad people then dash. She felt the shock of her actions clouding her judgment, and then feeling the fear and shame that she murdered innocent people. Her body started shaking and she dropped. Yep, you killed people that were threats to me, claiming the position that I hold now. Look at me now. I'm a noble lady and one that had no more use for someone that was dangerous as you. Alexandria said as she moved a bit, getting closer to another gun. So down at the waterline I shot you in the hopes that you would die in the water from either bleeding out or just from drowning in the water. Did you ever love me? All those time together, did they really mean nothing to you? Jack asked / begged in slight desperation. Alexandria scoffed. Yes, you mean nothing to me, nothing more than a rabid animal I used to my advantage. Jack's hands fell to her side, dropping her purple knives to the ground, and her mind went into overdrive, and before Naruto could walk in and deal with this bitch who was now looking for another weapon. Your sins are heavy. They are same as the sins of woman that crossed the Ripper. Jack growled as her Purim salamandra returned to her hands. You will know fear. A large dark / gray purple salamander spirit oozed from the knives and stood behind Jack before it sank into her body. Soon Jack's body was covered in a purple aura and she screamed with the knives in her hands melding into her skin. Jack screamed from the pain she was in, and soon her body started to convulse, and her aura take a dark sinister turn as her hands started to gain scales. Jack's eyes turned into slits, the skin from her hands to her elbow was turning reptilian, and soon purple ooze was coming off her newly scaled pores. Standing up, she looked at her mother and snarled with a forked tongue coming out of her mouth. Die. Alexandria grabbed a gun and shouted. You first. Tell your father hello when you see him in hell. She fired 3 rounds, but Jack blocked them with her scales, making them fall to the ground. She then walked to her while blocking the bullets bouncing off her skin again. In time, she was standing in front of her and holding the barrel of the gun and crushing it in her grip. Squelch, splatter. Alexandria screamed in pain when Jack slashed her stomach, and this left her gasping for air. You die like the rest of them. The poison in your body will kill you in about 10 minutes at the least, Jack said aggressively. What, but you wouldn't do this to your dash? Jack grabbed Alexandria's mouth and shut her up while pouring even more venom into her body, with her face starting to rot slowly, making her scream more. You're not my mother. I have one named Karatis Citri, and she has loved me without conditions, and I have found love with a peerage as a family and love with someone who cares for me without asking for anything. You are nothing to me other than an incubator, Jack stated darkly, watching the light leave Alexandria's eyes. In seconds the body slacked, and she was gone. Jack dropped her and stood up. She turned to leave but stopped when she saw a dark cloaked individual with purple eyes staring down at her. You've finished our work. Go now, Jack, and be free from the curse of the Ripper. The man looked at Naruto and whispered, Take care of her or you'll be my first male victim in the future. Soon the ghost disappeared and Jack's body turned back to normal with her knives falling to the ground covered in blood. Jack smiled. I'm free. Naruto frowned and hugged her. Yes, you are free, live your life. You're not Jack the Ripper anymore, you're Jack the pawn of Sona Citri and my friend. Thank you, Naruto-kun, Jack said with a beautiful smile. They stayed there for a bit before they walked out, leaving nothing there to say who it was that attacked other than maybe a rogue poison monster. Ko. Naruto arrived back at his home and sighed. What a tiring day, I mean, how can this day, Saji? He saw the blonde boy bleeding on his floor and grunting in pain from the holy bullet in his arm. Nah, are you two? What the hell happened? Jack asked as she removed the bullet before casting a small healing spell. The fallen, they came for Asia, Saji said as he was healed. I tried to fight them off, but they were too much and took her away. They told me they are going to make you feel suffering for failing to heed their warning. Naruto growled and looked at Jack, signaling that to follow her when she could. Naruto summoned his sword and soon was covered in lighting before dashing off to the church in breakneck speed. Naruto could feel his power building up and he was slowly seeing red as the more he thought about Asia, the suffering she went through, and these bastards doing it again to her now to also spit him infuriated him. He didn't even see the fallen trying to stand in his way who then aimed their spears at him. But the minute they went to throw they were attacked by Jack, who heel kicked one of them and threw her knives at the other two. For harming the pawn of my king you shall suffer the wrath of Jack the Ripper. Prepare to die. Naruto on the other hand made it to the entrance while cutting the rogue priest down for getting in his ways and kicked the door opened. Soon the air left his body, the feeling of numbness washed over him, and he saw something that made him drop his sword in shock, causing it to disappear. Rainier was playing with some green rings on her fingers while smiling at him arrogantly. Fried was sitting in one of the church pew, feeling up the dead body of Asia, which was in his lap, who had a bloody hole in her stomach while her eyes were dull. "Oh, you finally showed up, shitty devil?" Fried called out joyfully, waving at Naruto as his other hand was on Asia's. Naruto started to shake as his pupils dilated and he started to breathe irregularly. "Oh ho ho. Is this too much for you? Is it shocking that we killed such a weak devil?" Rainier's eyes turned red and fangs came out. "See now, fool, what happens to those that dare to defy me. Soon you shall be joining her in death. After all, it's your fault for not protecting her like you promised, for not being there for her when she needed you the most." She turned to Fried. "Do it." He smiled and quickly ripped off her skirt, and then went to tear off her panties. Naruto's mind snapped in an instant. "Don't you dare! You're right, it is my fault for not being there and for not being the strong brother I promised. For not protecting her more." His aura started to turn dark red and soon his eyes matched with them, turning completely red with no pupil in his eyes but the rage being palpable. "But I know it is your fault again, and that is something I will not stand for you to defile her more than you already have. You want me angry, well get ready, you have me enraged." Soon Naruto roared and his entire body was covered in a dark red aura that was radiating at a high level and forcing the church pews to disappear into dust or be crusted into splinters. The windows shattered and the building was breaking underneath the power he was releasing. "Impossible, he was only reincarnated recently, how is it possible that he has this kind of power?" Rainier asked, panicked. "I don't know, but I know I'm out of here later, bitch, this is your problem," Fried stated as he threw Asia away from him and leapt out of the building and soon was out of sight while Rainier was thinking. What horrors have I unleashed? What neither knew that someone was watching from the distance with green eyes glaring down, and in her hand was a blue soul. So it begins, the Sparta blood finally emerges and is now taking full effect. I pray he doesn't lose complete control of himself. Elsewhere. Off in the distant lands, a group of people in a tavern fell silent as they all felt Naruto's power. "You guys feel that?" The short blonde man walked out from behind the bar with a serious look on his face. At the same time, he had the marking of Sparta on the back of his coat. "Yeah, it definitely has to be her son. About fucking time. But this means he is fully awakened now, which is more trouble for us down the line if he goes out of his mind like he is now." A white-haired man with red eyes and wearing a red jacket along with a scar on his neck cracked while having the same serious posture as his friend. "That means his demon blood is running wild, we need to stop it." A white-haired girl with a green eye was trying her best to show the need to move fast. "Yeah, but at the same time we won't reach him in time before something bad happens." A girl with brown hair and pigtails was looking on with a frown. "Doesn't matter because I sense someone else is there," the blonde male said, putting his hand on his chin, a frown on his face. "But it can't be her, she disappeared years ago." "Are you saying it is her?" the white-haired girl asked. "Yeah, and if she is there, that means there is more going on from our king's wishes than we thought," the blonde man said as he then held one arm out, pointing to the area where they felt Naruto. "Everyone, we are heading back to the capital. It's time the son of our king meets us when the time comes, and we are there when he needs us. After all, we are his family, and we shall stand with him through it all." "Right, Captain." The blonde smiled outside but was still wondering what she was doing in the same city as their king's son. Did she know that he was there all along? If so, then she had a lot of explaining to do when they confronted her. Rainier could not believe that the boy's power was spiking out of control. His power was easily that of Satan level and growing as time was passing on. The scariest thing about his power is that he showed a demonic form that was slowly creeping over his body along with his red eyes. Horns were growing out of his head, and he slowly was building up a darker aura that just screamed death incarnate. But on top of that, she could see flickers of green energy that seemed to burst out in tiny sparks, but his demonic power covered them up quickly. Even with the twilight healing, she knew she couldn't match this monster and feared the worst, so she promptly formed a spear and threw it at him. But the spear disappeared the minute it was inches from his face, and thus leaving him undamaged. Naruto kept his gazed form on the fallen angel and without warning disappeared from sight and quickly impaled her fist through her stomach. She coughed from the suddenness of the attack, but then he quickly beheaded her. Taking the rings off the woman, he started having tears running down his face, and he released roar that started destroying the church in its entirety. The walls were blown away, the roof flew into the sky, and the pews were turning into ash from his aura. But he saw that the body of Asia was covered in some kind of pink barrier preventing harm from coming to it, but before he could think more on the barrier he felt someone behind him. Turning his head, he saw someone wearing a black hood that covered body and hid their body from being recognizable. The only thing he could see is they were holding on to some kind of blue orb in their right hand, and they stared him down with their own red eyes. That is enough, Naruto-kun, the fight is over. You destroyed the people that were responsible for this. No, the pain isn't going away. It can only fade if I destroy everything that dared to harm her. I will first start hunting down that priest and slowly torturing him. Doing that wouldn't be what Asia would want. He growled at her and aimed his free hand at her, and she blocked the blast of pure energy aimed at her. Soon she dashed at him and threw a hook at his face, but he dodged the attack. He then aimed another blast of pure demonic energy at her, but he felt it cut off after seeing her place her hand on his head. Magical cancellation. You won't be able to use magic at all in this case. Within seconds she slammed her hand into his gut, knocking him off his feet and forcing him to power down and collapse from the suddenness of the strike. The person sighed. Naruto-kun, you've grown, and I knew you would become a legend. I only hope that you can keep moving forward when more of your power comes out. Especially his power. She shivered at the thought of Naruto's father, a monster that was considered evil incarnate. How Kushina ever convinced that man to have a child with her or even show love to her is something that they would never understand at this point. But seeing the boy was out cold, they smiled. They had only been a devil for about a week, and yet he was showing fantastic progress, but given who his mother was, that is not a surprise. But they could feel other devils closing in on their position, so acting quickly they took the blue orb in their hand and put into the dead nun, in which she saw her starting to breathe again. She then took the sacred gear stolen from her. She returned it to the poor girl, was erasing their scent from the scene and disappearing. Coming on the site, Sona saw the destruction that was done on the area and was shocked to see an unconscious Naruto and Asia in the middle of the rubble. Alongside them was a corpse of one of the fallen angels she heard about in the news reports she received from Surzex. Rebecca was right behind her and admired the destruction that Naruto performed on the area and wondered what would happen when he fully mastered this incredible power of his. Tsubaki, take care of the corpse and find anyone else that might still be alive from this mess. Yes, Taicho. The rest of you help her or get Asia back to her house and room and make sure she is healed up. The rest of them nodded their heads while Rebecca raised the question. What about Naruto? Sona sighed and picked him up over her shoulder. I'm going to take him home and make sure he is healed up. I'm sure the stress of releasing all that demonic power at once is going to put his body in a lot of pain, and he is going to need someone to heal him during the night. She blushed. If that means I have to use the skin method, then so be it, but he'd better appreciate what I'm putting myself through for him. She then teleported while Rebecca giggled at the flushed citri heiress. It would seem that there is competition for his attention, no little one. She turned to Jack, who was pouting. Naruto-kun is mine. You sure? What if your king ordered you to stay away from him? She pouted harder, making her cheeks turn bright red. I would beat her, and then go be with Naruto-kun. Rebecca laughed at this. You must have fallen for him hard, no? She turned to the Gremry girl, and Jack countered. Yeah, well, I can sense your lust for him, and his power. It is coming off you in waves. Rebecca let a small blush appear on her face while laughing lightly. Maybe I do lust for him, but honestly, unlike my cousin, I do not act on that lust. I rather get to know the real him before deciding if he is worth the time pursuing, otherwise I would have settled for Serorg, who was offered to marry me a couple of years ago. She then started walking away with her queen in tow, but he is a Sparta heir, meaning more wives are expected of such a legendary clan, and I look forward to maybe seeing if I can be one of those women in the future. Jack just glared at the busty red-haired girl, looking at her bouncing bosom, and the bouncing her queen and back at her while thinking. Stupid big-head bitches. Naruto-kun doesn't want those, he wants people he can trust, and I to think I'm better without large. She got to work on disposing of the fallen angel body while discreetly enjoying the fact that the busted bitch was now a corpse she could use for stress relief when she wanted to cut something to pieces. Yes, she had some personal issues to work on. Next day, Naruto sat up suddenly and realized he was back in his room. How did I get back here? I brought you here and healed you. Turning his head over, he saw Sona without her glasses looking at him with an endearing look that made him have a full atomic blush, added that she was not wearing anything underneath the sheets, and they were pulled down, meaning he could see everything going on with her body at this time. Just for the record, the carpets matched the drapes, and he was pleasantly surprised by this. Naruto, what a dash! She looked down at Lost Blanket and turned bright red before turning away from him. Pervert! Naruto panicked, and without a chance for her to react, he got down on the floor with his head to the floor and his hands at his side. I'm sorry, Sona, I never wanted to see that without your permission. I apologize for being ungentlemanly to you and will make it up to you any way I can. Sona blushed. He was so innocent, he did like what he saw, but at the same time, he did not want to be seen as another everyday pervert like the trio at school, which was sweet. Is that so? She turned back to him with her eyes trained on him. There's one thing you could do for me. What? She smiled and answered. Take me on a date tonight. What? Take me on a nice fancy date tonight, and we can forget this ever happened. Naruto opened and closed his mouth a couple of times before his brain finally rebooted from the sudden fact he got a date with one of the prettiest girls on campus. I would be glad to, but dash, Sona hoped from bed, forcing his head back to the floor while she got dressed and then started up a teleportation circle. Excellent, I expect you to look your best and I will be expecting you to get reservations wherever we go, or I will be angry, so see you at 8 tonight. Within a bright flash, she was gone from the room, heading home to find her best dress to impress. I don't know where I'm supposed to find a fancy restaurant. Time skip. Veronica had returned today, and she was training Naruto into the ground after finding out from the others at the school what happened recently. Learning that he unlocked his demonic power was great, meaning that he was ready to learn to harness the power, while at the same time concerning that it took such a stressful event to bring it out. So for today's lesson, Veronica took a break from swordsmanship and started training him in the basic of drawing out his demonic power. She told him to imagine the power inside of him and start pulling on it. He did and managed to draw on about half of his reserves before he struggled to keep control of the power and to prevent it from overwhelming him. Naruto, in the end, learned to harness his power and make different things from it, such as a powerful energy blast similar to the power of destruction, but this one was not as damaging. He could fire it and hit his targets head-on and obliterate them on the spot if he put enough power into the attack and they were weak enough for it to affect. Otherwise, it would just break the bone or damage the body sufficient for internal damages. At this same time, he learned to harness his black lightning in his hand and around his body, but not at the same level as with his sword. So, he had more training he needed to do to match the level of his sword skill with his normal skill. At this same time, Naruto also learned that he could harness other dark elements, including dark flames, which he found easier to control than the lightning. Why is that? He didn't know, but he knew that it was just easier to control them without his sword out or having to transfer the power through his blade. It is theorized by Veronica that his abilities must have different needs. The fire needs to have his body heat to help produce it, and to be directly drawn on without something to go through, that is magic. While his lightning is stronger and more refined due to it not having to flow all over his body or concentrate all of the energy that is running wild in one spot, within the sword, he can force the magic all along the blade, and it will help keep it sealed until he is ready to send out the attack. Naruto took a deep breath and looked up at the dark sky that was floating over their heads. Veronica noticed he was distracted throughout training, so she decided to get to the problem. What is going on, Naruto? Well, Sona asked me on a date today and wants this to be something fancy, but I don't dash. Wait, Sona Citri asked you on a date? Yes, but the problems, she put her finger to his lips and smiled sadistically. Leave it to me, I will take care of everything. She then summoned a piece of paper and wrote something on it before handing it to him. He read the paper. Maligianos. He looked up at her, and she was texting away on her phone at speeds he didn't think were possible before she looked back at him. That is the best restaurant in town. Take her there and ask for reservations under Citri. You'll love it, and also, she snapped her fingers and out of the portal came a suit and tie. This is your suit for the evening. How do you know my measurements though, and why did you make a suit in the first place? You're a Sparta, so you will be expected to make public appearances and thus need to look presentable, and another I had Jack tell me. Naruto's sweat dropped at the little Lilicon that he comes to care for and let her live in his home was spying on him like that, and it bothered him a bit. Alright, but why are you dash? You have the rest of the day off, go get ready and be ready to impress, because if you break her heart. She then slammed her sword into the ground, and it caused a fissure to form, and it made his heart sink, seeing as he never saw her do this before, and scared him as she was that much stronger still. You'll wish I killed you when I'm done with you, are we clear? Naruto nodded his head. Yeah, but honestly I'm worried about screwing up this date for her. What do we talk about? What is her favorite food, hobbies, dreams? I don't know what is too personal and what is too stupid. Naruto muttering to himself. Veronica smiled slightly. He was thinking about Sona's feelings and emotions going into this date more than his own. That was a positive sign, but he needed to relax at this point, so she smacked him on the head. Relax, just be yourself, and the date should go off without a hitch, okay? Naruto nodded his head while feeling the lump coming out from his hairline and forming on the top of his skull. He would have Asia heal that when he got home and make sure he practiced some conversation pieces for their date. Naruto teleported home, and after getting healed up and cleaned up, he then started dressing up for the occasion and making sure everything fit perfectly. From what he could see, his suit was just snug enough that it could fit in places and still be comfortable to move around in case something that required him to act quick and fight on the fly. Eventually, he heard his alarm go off after practicing for hours and saw it was time to go and pick up his friend from the school. Upon teleporting there and aiming to knock on the door, he was stopped when it opened to reveal something that left him speechless. She was standing there in a stunning purple dress that hugged her figure, and while modest did show off some leg, her well-shaped ass, and even a little cleavage. She was wearing contacts because she was not wearing glasses and staring at him with a blush on her face. Meaning she could see him correctly, and honestly it made her even prettier. So Naruto, what do you think? I think you look great. Holding his arm out, she wrapped her arms around it, and they appeared in front of the restaurant. Entering, he saw the person standing at the counter, and she was a young man that made Sona freeze at sight, but he ignored it. Table for two under Citri. Ah yes, we were expecting you, please come this way. Naruto leads Sona to their table and got her situated, and at this point, they both were just trying to move past the tense atmosphere. So Sona-chan. Yes? I was wondering, why did you want to go on a date with me? Not that I'm not flattered or anything, just naturally curious. She smiled. There are many reasons, but the biggest one is that I admit I have a good feeling about you that I've never had before and want to see where this is going to go. Interesting. Well, either way, I'm glad. I was going to ask you out sooner or later, but with everything that has happened, I guess I never really thought about it again. Sona was silent, but inside she was tearing her hair out and strangling Rias in her mind. If she had just recruited that damn pervert and did her job and not lied to the mouse, she could have had a date sooner with Naruto than this. That annoyed her, not as much as what is going on in the restaurant at the moment. You see, the reason Sona froze up seeing the person at the front desk is that she knew it was a guy that worked for their family for the last few years as she was growing up at home. They were someone that always waited on her, and she was angrier seeing that Veronica was serving drinks at the bar while watching them like a hawk. Some other servants under her sister were here as well. Worst of all, she saw in the far-off booth that was hidden in the back of the room but was seeable from her angle her parents. Her father was taking pictures for his phone while her mother was gushing over how cute she looked, and with her hearing, something she did not know if Naruto could hear or not, was talking about having some grandchildren to spoil shortly. That turned her beet red and focused back on her date. So Naruto, I never got to ask, where are you from? Naruto thought about it for a minute. I'll answer if you tell me something about yourself. Like a juicy secret, Naruto said with a cheeky smile. Sona blushed a massive red and thought about it. She nodded after some time, and Naruto put his hand on his chin in thought. Well, the earliest I can remember, I was in Europe for a couple of years, but when I was about 5, I was moved to Japan where I spent my time in an orphanage. Didn't your mother raise you though? He smiled bitterly. She died when I turned 4, and I was taken away from the family home when I was 5. I see, sorry. Don't worry about it, Sona-chan. Honestly, I'm used to it, plus there I got to meet my best friend and the loving and caring woman that ran the orphanage. Really? Naruto nodded his head and showed the locket he kept hidden under his shirt, a locate she saw was always around his neck since he joined Ko. Yep, this is our promise locket. She has a key to the locket, and I have the actual thing around my neck. Corny, I know, but it is a way for us to promise we are carrying a piece of each other, and will one day meet again no matter what our paths take us. Where did she go? Naruto frowned. I remember a woman named Griselda took her and some other children away to join a special group of the church in Europe, and while she didn't want to leave me behind, I was okay with it. More since I felt it was better she got a chance at a better life, and that while I was sad, it was okay. Griselda, you mean the exorcists? Yes. Naruto, you know that means dash. I know, and even if she hates me for what I am, I will not hate her for her decision, as she will always be my dearest friend. I see. Well, regardless, I will be here for you, Naruto-kun. She put her hands on his hands, and they blushed and smiled at each other, but before the moment could continue, a voice said, Hello, can I take your drink orders? Naruto turned and saw a familiar woman standing there in a maid outfit, while Sona turned to stone, seeing the one person she did not want to see here. She had black hair like her and purple eyes, but she was much shorter than her and seemed to be carrying a childlike an aura around her. This waitress was her sister Seraphal, who most likely heard this through her night Veronica, who she was going to strangle after this and probably planned this whole thing. Naruto wouldn't remember her from their short meeting, but she knew she was here for some reason. Have we met? No, I'm afraid we have not, but it is nice to meet such a kind gentleman taking out such a lovely and kind girl. Sona groaned into her hands and was hoping something would kill her now, as this was extremely embarrassing. Well, I always knew from my teachers and caretakers to be nothing more than a gentleman to women that deserve it. Seraphal smiled and gained stars in her eyes. That is amazing, sir. Thank you. I will have water, and if I remember correctly, Sona likes dash. Sake, give me some sake for this night. Seraphal shook her head. Sorry ma'am, you are underage, but we do have some virgin drinks. Sona groaned. Fine, a virgin daiquiri, make it two. Seraphal skipped off into the distance to talk to her parents, while Naruto laughed lightly and Sona glared. Your family is sure funny. How do you know she is family? The way she was bouncing on her heels, the way she looks like you, and finally the fact that most of the people here have a similar aura to yourself, meaning they either work or somehow related to you some way. Plus Veronica had this glint in her eyes earlier when I mentioned date with you, and that was the general tip-off for this. Great. So Sona-chan, how about we ignore them and focus on our date? She smiled. I like the way you think, let's. Tell me your secret, Naruto asked like a child promised candy. Sona had hoped he would have forgotten but sighed. She motioned for him to lean in close. Naruto did, and then she leaned in, her mouth covered. I have a large collection of yaoi romance novels, Sona whispered, and then waited for him to laugh at her, but he did not laugh. Interesting. So you ever fantasize about Kiba and me being a couple? Naruto asked, slightly uncomfortable. What? No. Sona stammered as she tried to regain her composure, and was happy he did not laugh at her. Speaking of dreams, do you have any dreams, Sona-chan? I want to open up a raiding game school for devils of all classes. Naruto raised an eyebrow at this. You mean they don't have one of those in the underworld? No, they find this to be only useful to those of high-class lineage or those that become kings through other family ties. Thus those that are not born into royalty or high-class society cannot gain access to this kind of information. Naruto frowned at this and wondered why this seemed to be the most essential thing to devils. Blood, lineage, power, wealth, and prestige. It seemed pointless to him, but then again he is looking at a society from the outside, but from what he gathered about his mother in the short time he knew her, she never was a big thing on that either, and was someone that looked down on systems built in this manner, finding they can lead to hatred for those that dare to think they were born better than others. What is stopping your dreams, Sona-chan? Well, honestly, funding and the fact I don't have anyone backing me on this idea or dream of mine. Then consider me your first investor and supporter. Sona was shocked by this. Sona, I think the dream you have is beautiful, and if I can do something about it when I finally take my place as the Sparta head, I will. That is a promise. Sona smiled. Thank you, Naruto-kun. I guess I can give you a reward for this promise. Sona leaned over, and both of their lips met. They shared a deep kiss and soon separated after the innocent kiss, missing the giggling in the background and the coos and ahs at the scene. Sona blushed bright red while Naruto was not too far behind her. Well, that is a contract signing, I don't mind. Sona smiled sultrily. Then how about we affirm the contract, so we don't miss any loopholes? Naruto leaned forward and whispered. Let's maybe add some additions to the contract. Don't push your luck, Sparta. Naruto smiled. Can't blame a guy wanting to make out with a beautiful woman he wants to be his official girlfriend. Take me on a few more dates, and we'll talk. They shared another kiss, and soon the rest of their night went off without a hitch. After Naruto had finished his date with Sona and dropped her off at home where he was sure she was going to find her family and strangle them for what they did, he walked into his house. He checked in on Asia, who had been bedridden since she was revived. Naruto caressed her head and prayed, despite it hurting, that God would let her return to him. Exiting her room silently, Naruto made way to his room and found an unusual sight. Sitting on his bed in her bra and panties was Rebecca and his death, who was more frowning at the situation they were in, and Rebecca seemed to scream she needed something. What is going on here? Naruto, I need a favor. Looking at Rebecca, he asked. What is it? I need you to make love to me. Come again? My queen will assist in this endeavor. Its Death looked at Naruto, and while she was not frowning in disappointment, she was not smiling either. You've yet to prove yourself to me other than that small burst of power earlier, but I can see there is the potential, so I'm willing to lay with you on the orders of my king. Wait, so you guys want me to have sex with both of you? Yes. Naruto sat down on the floor and bowed his head to them and then looked up. Thank you for the offer, but how about you explain what the hell is going on first? Yes, indeed, turning his head and jumped to his feet, seeing the maid that worked for Surzex standing there with a glare on her face. Explain why you two were about to try to sleep with Naruto-sama. Naruto looked at the girls and Grafia and finally yelled. Seriously, is this just come in and be how you please in my house? Damn it, someone tell me what is going on. Soon Jack appeared at his window and pouted, seeing the big Ed women. If Naruto-kun wanted to sleep with a woman, he could do that with me. Naruto nearly had a heart attack, and then suddenly Tsubaki teleported into his room, causing him to groan. Naruto-san, I had some dash. She saw the people in the room and quickly paled at the sight of Grafia. I see you're busy, I will come back dash. Stay. Grafia glared at the girl, and she froze in her step. Fuck my life. Okay, can somebody tell me what the hell is going on before more people decide to drop in and cause a big scene about this? Rebecca sighed. It is complicated. Naruto gave her a blank stare. You're sitting on my bed in your underwear offering your virginity and Queen's virginity to me while having an angry maid standing behind me freezing my floor and the walls, then I have two friends now seeing this mess as well. How much more complicated can this possibly be? I need your help getting out of a marriage contract that was put on my thanks to Rias. Rias, you bitch, I knew it was her fault. Naruto tiredly sulked in the corner. Why can't things be slightly normal in my home? Jack took this opportunity and sat in his lap as Naruto fell asleep, getting envious glares from some of the girls, but Jack flipped them off as she cuddled into Naruto's warmth. Naruto groaned awake after finding himself in his bed and wondering if what happened yesterday was just some kind of freaky dream that he was having. Honestly, I got to stop eating desserts before bed. Naruto tried to sit up but noticed that he couldn't move either of his arms. Looking down, his eyes popped out of his head, seeing what was relaxing in his bed next to him. One was a naked Rebecca who had apparently ditched her sleepwear sometime during the night, while his Death was right next to her doing the same thing. However, she was pushed up against Rebecca's back and was almost kissing her neck. On his other side, he saw it was Jack pulling his arm into her body, while Tsubaki shockingly was there as well. However, she was pushing her head into his shoulder, resting her almost around the head of Jack. Naruto could only think that was kinda cute, but also hot with them mostly being girl on girl. But at this point he really needed to get up at this point, or they were going to find him with a boner. Before he could react, someone entered his room and quickly bowed to him. It was Grafia, confirming to him once again that yesterday, or at least last night, was very much real and that he was dealing with this crap right now. Forgive my intrusions, Naruto-sama, I'm only here for the girls. Take them if you want, I just need a few minutes to get dressed. She bowed to him and without warning dragged all four girls out of the room by their hair, waking them up. Most complained at first, but after seeing who was dragging them, they quickly shut up. Naruto just quickly took a shower, changed into his outfit of the day, which was a white tight top and some long black pants and boots. He wore these to when he knows he is going to train with Veronica most times, but had to be presentable at the school at this point, and knowing that soon he would have to return in the near future. But he was fine with this for now. Naruto walked to Asia's room and entered. The blonde female was sleeping soundly as Naruto walked towards her. He checked her breathing and pulse, finding them both normal. Asia, Naruto thought as he ran his hand through her hair. Please wake up soon. He leaned in and hugged her gently before he left, not seeing the light smile form on Asia's lips. After walking down the stairs, Naruto saw all the girls dressed and breakfast was sat out at this point. Sitting down, he quickly found a school-dressed Jack sitting on his lap, flicking her tongue at the other girls in the room, inciting their anger. Okay, so now that it is morning, can someone please explain why you were all in my room last night? Well, I can't speak for the others, Rebecca sighed, but I was there because I wanted to break the arrangement that my cousin put me in. Naruto raised an eyebrow. How so? As you know now, I was made the heiress of the clan, which is something the elders and many members of the family wanted for the longest time. However, I know Rias all too well to think she did this for some reason like this, so my queen and I think it is something else. We came to agree that she did this purely as a reason to push an arranged marriage on me that was hers first. She has hated the man for the longest time and chose to ignore him, or avoid him whenever he came around. As far as I know, she is doing this as a way to be done with both of us. When I would marry Riser Phoenix, while this happened, I'd be forced to give up the title of Gremry heiress while she would get the title back as she has seniority over Milikas, our nephew. But how does that work? I mean, I'm not expert on this, but I'm sure I read somewhere that the Gremry clan is ranked higher in status than the Phoenix. Wouldn't he be marrying up into the family at this point? Grafia came into the picture. Unfortunately, that is not the case, as I myself and Lady Gremry were no exceptions. Most females in arranged marriages are forced to relinquish any titles they might have had years ago. In this same context, they are required to become the new matriarch if it is a child of a prestigious clan or someone that is an heir in the family. While Riser Phoenix is not the heir to the family, he is the youngest son that stands out in his own family, thus giving him a status worthy of this standpoint. Why the youngest son, though? Because, turning back to Rebecca, who had a scowl on her face, they made this deal after their oldest son was born and Serzek was born. As far as the clans are concerned, as long as it profits in the end, they don't care who marries into whose family in the very end. Naruto frowned, wondering if this is one of the reasons his mother really didn't deal with the underworld or always kept people from her devil life away from them when he was growing up with her. While it was true he was 4 when he lost her, he still has some fuzzy memories of her and someone in the background looking onto him fondly. Back to the current situation, he finally asked the important part of the question he needed answered. So why me, though? As you are a Sparta, Grafia glared at Rebecca and continued, if you were to have claimed the virginity of the Gremry heiress, this would signify that you are now laying her as your first wife, and thus she would be immediately brought into your family. This is a law that was put in place for some of the higher-ranked families as a way to keep them from running out on commitments with other minor clans. But as you can see, this can be a problem from the other side of things. Indeed, but can I use my authority to mess with the contract, though? Grafia tilted her head for a second. I'm not sure, to be honest, but I have heard the Gremry elders are looking into you because of your close connection to Rebecca. Naruto saw where she was going with this. If the Gremrys think he was interested in Rebecca, then maybe he could help her out and give her the chance to marry into a more prestigious clan. More so, this would give them serious clout among the other clans until others married into the family, and he was concerned about this. Being a child of some powerful devil family was tough, but from the sounds of it, he was part of some line that even surpassed the other clans. Meaning that one wrong move and he could wind up with some crazy bitch that would only be interested in his lineage and not getting to know him better. Sighing, he turned to his death, who answered his question before it was asked. I'm here as my king, and I had an agreement years ago. If she found a man worthy of lying with, then I shall join her on the first time, and see if he is worthy of me as well. Wait, you would do that? She smiled while licking her lips. Of course, after all, Rebecca only chooses the best. If that is you, then I can be assured powerful children that will stand at the top of the world. Naruto's sweat dropped at this comment. Great nutty bitch, only wanting my seed if I can help make her strong children, good to know. But she is more of a package deal though, so that is interesting for sure. Naruto turned to Jack, who pouted at him. I'm the one that loves you and wants to spend time with you. Plus I heard that you took Sona Kaicho on a date, and I know that if I want to have you, then I need to move now. Naruto sighed while patting her head to calm her down. More so since he could feel the poison starting to drip out of her body, and the last thing he needed is them thinking she was trying to kill them. Looks like confronting her mother healed her mind and gear, but still she was out to get him in another way, and that was disturbing. Not that she isn't cute, but the problem here is that she is a full-on Lilicon, and that was something frowned on by many. He would consider this nothing special, as he would be happy to be romantic with Jack, but he was not sure now was the right time for this. So moving on from this, he turned to Grafia, who shook her head. I'm here to make sure Rebecca did not do something stupid and to warn you all that Rias has returned to Ku, and she is going to be aiming for all of you. Please be on guard, and most of all, don't let her actions or words bother you too much, as she can't do anything to any of you at this time. If she does, then Lord and Lady Gremry will drag her back to the underworld for another lesson. Grafia had a small sinister smile on her face, and this terrified everyone in the room. Turning to Tsubaki, she blushed at eyes being on her. Well, I wanted to cash in that favor I'm owed and ask if you would go out with me today. Naruto sighed. Sure, if that is what you want, then we can do that. Great, I'll see you at 6. Tsubaki quickly teleported out of the room to avoid more of the tension in the air and the glare she was getting from Jack. After everything was settled, Naruto and friends ate the breakfast and were out the door in no time. At the same time, Naruto knew that he was now in a situation that he wanted to avoid until he was ready: politics. Apparently, with Rebecca coming onto him so strongly, this is a bad sign that this is going to draw the ire of the Phoenix family. While he was not worried about the clan as a whole, he didn't know who this Riser fellow was other than he was a playboy asshole that was self-entitled. Apparently, on the way to school with Rebecca telling him, his whole peerage consists of women he was either making out with, sexually harassing, or just outright fucking at this point. Hell, his own sister is in the peerage, and while she was talented, the only members worth anything were Riser, his queen Eubelina, and Ravel herself. Outside of them, Rebecca describes the rest of the peerage as mediocre or a group of people that are nothing but pests there for looks. Naruto and his group arrived at the school entrance where he ran into the one person he wanted to avoid until much later. Rias Gremry. She was staring them down with a dark look in her eyes while Akino was smiling darkly at them, Kaneko glaring, and Issei settling for perving on the women around him and Rebecca. Well, cousin, it has been a while. Indeed, Rebecca, so how does it feel to be engaged to such a man like Riser? I can't help but wonder what it is to be the prodigy of the clan and be someone that is about to marry a man that will use and abuse her. Rias was smiling with joy at the thought of her cousin being toyed with by Riser. As far as he was concerned, one Gremry was better than no Gremry, but the key difference is that he wanted to have the prodigy now. As Rebecca is beautiful in her own right, while also having the pedigree of a prodigy to go with her makes her a prize greater than Rias. Well, I don't know how long the arrangement will last given that I have a love interest of my own to pursue. Oh, and what great love interest could that be? After all, no clan would dare trifle with the Phoenix family, and their wishes you know. Naruto shook his head at the arrogance rolling off Rias and wondering if she was always like this growing up or if this is just something she developed recently. Well, she leaned against Naruto and kissed him on the cheek, causing Issei to pull his hair out and the other men on campus to cry tears of anguish. You think this brat can save you? Please, he might be a Sparta, but he is obviously the run of the litter from what I heard. Rebecca, finally having enough, glared at her cousin before standing nose to nose with her. They're smushed against each other. This caused Issei to faint at such an erotic action, while Naruto blushed, but was still showing anger in his face. Be very careful, Rias. One bad move and that can land you in a heap of trouble with the clan. After all, the Sparta clan has only 3 generations among them, and Naruto has the potential to surpass them all. Please, as if he could. Rebecca grinned. Oh, he can. After all, his demonic power is the reason that all the devils are running around in the underworld. This caused Naruto to raise an eyebrow. Did his aura really get that intense? Honestly, he could not remember, given that when he saw Asia dead and what Freed was about to do, he blacked out at this point. But he would hunt the man down and kill him, as he owed the man that much for his trouble. At the same time, he really needed a doctor to check on Asia and make sure she was safe. Yet he was able to heal himself yesterday from Veronica, but that didn't change his concern that her own healing wasn't working to bring her about faster. Naruto was brought out of the argument when he saw Sona approaching everyone with a dark look in her eyes. Rias, you know the rules. Cause trouble on campus and Surzek will be the first to know. Rias gritted her teeth as her former friend was turning against her. Really, she was just trying to protect her from Naruto, as he was scum, and still is scum in her mind. He was someone that reminded her of Riser, and it angered her more than anything. Plus, the fact that he was not paying attention to her or the others was a shot to her vanity, and it was one of the reasons she went out of her way to destroy him. The reason she tried to kill him was that with his death, then maybe things would go back to the way they used to be without him always around her best friend and her former knight. I know, but why are you here, Sona? She smiled and without warning brought her lips towards Naruto's, and thus causing the entire school grounds to stop walking and looking at them. He was shocked she was this open with everything, and honestly he could feel someone was watching them and begging for this to be true or something. Taking her lips off him, she held his hand in her hand and smiled. Well, I wanted to see my boyfriend since I know last night he was swamped with different people at his house. Naruto raised an eyebrow and she mouthed. Tsubaki. Naruto nodded his head understanding. What, you're dating him? Rias horrified. Her friend was really planning on throwing her away for this man? Why, what made him so damn special he would be worth that? Yes, after all, he is a Sparta, and at the same time we've had feelings for each other for a while, so this is the perfect chance to display them in public. Good day, Rias, stay out of trouble, okay? With that, she dragged Naruto away with a pouting Jack following, not happy to being ignored, while Rebecca huffed and walked past her boiling cousin and concerned peerage. Time skip. Naruto was exhausted. His training was harder than before thanks to Veronica upping his training now, with him having to draw out more of his raw demonic aura. But sadly he could only draw out a little more than yesterday, and thus he was still working on mastering this power. He had little success, but Veronica mentioned that one's demonic power, especially his, is connected to his emotions and must be tampered. So in time he would learn to activate this power, and then control it with greater ease once he found the spark that can bring it out. So far he just continued practicing his elemental powers and was getting further along, with fire being the easier to control in his hands now, but putting it into his sword to enhance the attack he quickly mastered this. Lightning, on the other hand, was proving slower, as he was having to slowly build the power over time, and thus generate it throughout his entire body while not focusing on any point more than others. It is like controlling every physical part of your body at this point, and it was near impossible for someone to do this. But he would keep it up, but for now he was busy getting ready for his second date in a row. Walking to the student council room in a buttoned black shirt and brown slacks, he saw Tsubaki wearing nothing special other than a tight black top and a pair of long black pants hugging her curves. Once they complimented each other, she quickly teleported them away, and soon they arrived at a shop that Naruto knew very well, and that it is Tsubaki's greatest secret. She loved to cosplay, and not just cosplay characters from other series in modest sense, but I mean she wanted to do the hentai characters and even act like them. For Naruto, it was the odd thing in the relationship he had with her other than her massive porn collection that was publicly known to the peerage. But this was not, and after Naruto found out while bumping into her in this part of town, she was mortified. He kept it a secret, but she always held him at fault for coming looking for her. Naruto entered the store with Tsubaki, and she looked around while finding a handful of costumes. Finally, Naruto asked, "So why am I here?" She blushed. "Well, I wanted to spend time with you and show you some costumes that I wanted you to purchase." "Why me though?" She blushed brighter. "Are you kidding? If I bought them, my entire peerage would know, and thus they would find out about this." Naruto sighed. "You know you're going to need to tell them sometime in the future before backing yourself into a corner in the future." "Maybe so, but for now I'm keeping it this way, and you're paying for seeing me naked anyway." Naruto deadpanned at this while just watching her enter the changing room with the outfits. Naruto sighed and looked at his phone, seeing he had a ton of more contacts than he did before. One being Tsubaki, as she recently added herself, Sona, Rebecca, who hacked his phone, his death of all people, Veronica shockingly, but not so much as she was the one that bought him the phone anyway, and Jack. Yeah, I mean he other people in there too, like the other members of the peerage, but for the most part it was those main ones. Looking at his phone, he saw he had 2 texts, one from Rebecca and one from his death. So going through the listing, he read Rebecca first. "Hey, are you busy Sunday?" Naruto quickly responds, "Not this Sunday, why?" "Well, I was wondering if you would like to hang out then? I mean, we barely had the chance with everything dropped on you like this, and to apologize for how I was acting earlier." "Sure, I guess that is alright, but don't feel bad about it. I'm sure most would do the same thing if they knew there was a way out." "Yeah, okay, see you Sunday then." Naruto was about to read Estetha's message next, but the curtain opened, and what he saw nearly made him bust through his pants. Tsubaki was wearing the tight top of Yoko from the Gurren Lagann series and wearing the shorts to go with it. Naruto blushed brightly and she winked at him while bending over. "So what you think of this one?" Why, you look great, Tsubaki-chan." She smiled and blushed. "Great, I got 4 more, so be ready." Naruto stood there as the curtain closed. "I'm going to need a wheelchair after that amount of excitement." Looking down, he opened his messages and saw one quick message. "I need to talk to you later. I'll be at your house after you get back from your time with Tsubaki." Naruto responds, "How did you know I was out with Tsubaki?" "I watched you two teleport to that hentai cosplay store she likes. Honestly, it is always the shy ones. But I will tell you this much, you ever for more physical role playing, let me know." Naruto blushed beet red before shaking it off. "You're messing with me, right?" There was a pause for a minute before a replay came back. "Show me more and you'll find out." Naruto sighed before ending the conversation. "Fine, I'll see you later." "Great, bye." Naruto turned his phone off, but when he turned around, Tsubaki was out of the changing room, and she was dressed in another hot outfit that made him nearly collapse from shock. Not the most revealing outfit she could have picked up, but it was hot one with her role playing as Tsubaki from Soul Eater, and he was shocked how good she looked in the outfit. But if he had to guess, the outfit was a bit on the small side, with it barely containing her. Well? Pretty tight looking, but good otherwise. He tried to hide the boner he was having at this point, but she smirked at it. "Well, I'll keep this one for sure." Closing the curtain, he sighed, hoping the next one was not as bad as this. But to his horror, it was even hotter than the one before, and this one nearly caused him to collapse on the spot. The outfit itself was based off a hentai character, and one that he knew, as it was one of Issei's favorite characters. She is wearing a white cloth that covered her just to the nipples, barely covered her ass and crotch, and showed off her creamy skin while having a green wreath around her head. "Celestine, really?" "Yep, I wanted to see if I can pull the look off even if I'm not an actual elf or someone of divine blood. What do you think?" Want to have a taste of this amazing goddess? Naruto blushed at the way she pushed her up for him to see and quickly shook his head at this.